baby.
Home now.
Yeah. Kobe Manzo.
Home now.
Yeah, we missed the beat a little bit, but
Who cares,
brother? Who cares, brother? Man. Welcome to D1R Game Day. This has been quite the experience already. We are live from the frozen tundra, a.k.a. the University of Wisconsin La Crosse. I'm your host, Kobe Manzo, here from Division I Rejects. To my left, a man who shares the same last name. Kate, how you doing, fella?
Hey, man, I'm just happy to be a part of this. We got a great atmosphere here in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I just can't wait to get going.
Hey, it's only going to get better. And joined over here, the D3 insider for Division I Rejects, the man from University of Wisconsin Stout, Jimmy Martin, rocking the shades today. Thinks he's in Top Gun. You're on YouTube, bud.
Yes, sir, Slimbo.
Hey, how we doing, everybody? It's great to be here. Let's have a great day. How about it?
Let's do it.
I'm excited about it. I wanted to apologize, first of all, for a little bit of a delay in our streaming as we get things set up over here at La Crosse. But rest assured, we are going to have a great show today. We've got the Eagles from the University of Wisconsin La Crosse taking on the Cardinals from North Central. And this one, a lot of drama coming into this matchup. La Crosse, they get the 1 seed in the region. North Central, the undefeated national champion, they have to go on the road. The road to the Stag Bowl comes through La Crosse. This game is probably the biggest one on the radars of all the people across the Division III landscape today. And fellas, we've got a pretty full show today.
Oh yeah.
We'll take a look at a preview here of our first hour of the broadcast. And fellas, once I get this pulled up here, you'll see why we have a very good reason to be excited today. Because joining us here at the end of the first hour, the head coach of the Eagles, Matt Janis, will join the show live ahead of the contest. But we've got a lot of great stuff before then, fellas. We're going to start with a little bit of the you are here, obviously, from the game day setup. But preview from both these squads ahead of a noon kickoff. That's Central Time. Otherwise, the Division II playoff picture, Super Region breakdown. We are into the Elite Eight, so we've only got 8 games today between Division II and Division III ball. We'll get into the D3 playoff picture as well, talk a little bit more about the Eagles and the Cards. And finally, we'll wrap up hour number 1 with some Harlan Hill and Gagliardi trophy conversation. Who is the best player in Division II and Division III football?
There's some alien-like stats, dude. Like
Video game.
Dude, doing the research,
it's like they're playing on rookie mode.
There are some alien numbers in there, dude.
It is absolutely absurd. Obviously, a couple of the guys from today's contest will be featured on that Gagliardi watch list. So I know there's a couple names, especially offensively, that we're excited to talk about from this particular matchup. But, fellas, we'll give a little sneak peek into hour number 2 as well as it pertains to this particular program. And Matt Janis will kind of lead off and kick off that second hour, if you will. But we will have a little bit of a fan interaction, maybe a little T-shirt contest, a little trivia action. Now, the tailgate here at La Crosse does not open until 10 o'clock Central Time, I do believe.
Correct.
So when Janis,
we got some fans out here, though. We got some fans out here.
We'll get there.
We got some lining up here.
These people are lining up. They're ready to go. But the tailgate, as far as this section is concerned, is going to be buzzing in about an hour, boys.
Yeah.
So we've got 1 hour to kind of lock things in, get comfortable here. These people will show up. They'll show out. Like I said, we've got an hour. We cannot actually see the end of the line of cars that's ready to get into a lot that only holds, 20 to 30 vehicles?
Something like that.
It's going to be packed up in here, boys.
This place only holds a little over 6. I shouldn't say only, but it holds a little over 6,000. We'll see if we can fill that number up today and get some people along the fence. Yeah. We'll see how that goes. But as far as the rest of hour 2 is concerned, we've got a great segment to close off the day. Today's difference makers in the contest. Each of the hosts of today will pick a player from both North Central and Wisconsin La Crosse, highlight them, take down what they need to do to get their teams a win, respectively, today. And, of course, is it a game day without game picks? That's how we close out today's episode. We'll pick all 8, the 4 Division II games, the 4 Division III, and we will close with our picks for today's contest.
Where's the mascot head, Jim? Where's it at, Lee?
Oh, we'll find out here in a second.
Get the wave ready. Yep, there it is. Get the wave ready, baby.
There will be no mascot heads on today's program, but there will be a lot of great stuff in between now and then. That will close out hour number 2. It's a little bit of a preview for you there. We'll end the stream around 11 o'clock, giving us a little bit of a buffer between then and the actual start of the game. Fellas, all right. Let's start talking about this North Central squad, this La Crosse squad. They got 3 prior meetings between the two. North Central leads the series. They won in 2021 in the playoffs in the postseason. Coach Janis was the head of that Eagle squad. They beat him 34-20. Now, that was over in Illinois, so home field matchup, obviously. La Crosse hoping to even the series today on their home field. Jimmy, a team that, maybe these two programs not entirely familiar with each other, but I'd be damn sure they got a lot of respect for one another.
Absolutely. And both of these teams, very high-powered offense. You see this game coming in with a point total of 83. So expect the scoreboard to get lit up today. You got playmakers like Luke Lannon.
Yes.
To clarify, we've pronouncing his name wrong. We got to put some respect on his name. Luke Lannon. And then obviously you got Kaiser Helterbrand at the helm for the Eagles. He's the kid's a hell of a playmaker. He does it all. He can play running back, quarterback, receiver. Put him anywhere. He's going to make plays for you. So,
absolutely, man. And two really prominent men at the helm of these two programs. Obviously, Coach Matt Janis, who will join us here. This is his third postseason trip with the Eagles from La Crosse. A lot at stake. It feels like there's a little bit more expectations from this squad. They weren't even able to pass the first round the last couple of years. Feels like they got a taste of the postseason. Damn it, they want the whole main course over here.
Yep.
It's going to be an exciting one. On the other side of things, the North Central head coach, Brad Spencer, he wins the CCIW Coach of the Year for the second consecutive year. Jimmy, why don't you tell us what his record currently at the helm for the Cardinals is in 2 years?
I'll give you a hint. He has not lost a game as a head coach. He is 27-0.
That is something else, man. At
that's
any level, that's ridiculously hard to do.
Winning 27 football games in a row is...
That's just that, dude.
It's unheard of. It's a statistical anomaly, an outlier, if you will.
Love the vocab over here.
Thank you. We're pulling out all the words. I love it today.
Oh, sure.
And like I said, the drama obviously heading into this one. North Central, we're talking about a team that was a half a football away from us potentially them competing for their fourth consecutive national championship.
For sure.
Right? They win it in 19. Obviously, the 2020 season is postponed. In 21, they lose in the finals to Mary Hardin Baylor. 22, they come out, win the whole thing. This is a squad that has been dominant for so long. I do believe they have won 14 first-round playoff games in a row, fellas. That is,
I can clarify. That is true. Yes.
That is incredible.
It's almost like unbelievable. Like you almost like look at it, it's like no way, dude. Like you're not winning 14 playoff games in a row. Like,
and I think what's most impressive about that is 14 games. That's 3 whole classes. Guys of 4-year guys, 5-5-year guys that have come through this program. You're talking about multiple guys at the helm of this program, and the level of consistency, the level of play has stayed all the way at the top for that entire tenure.
For sure, it's hard to do.
Really
especially in today's
stuff.
game, with all the different crap going around, the transfer portal and all that. They probably benefit more from it than not disbenefit.
Potentially,
but,
yeah.
But for them, it's like they're bringing the right guys in. Obviously, if the guys, 27-0, I think they're doing something right. So
well, you see it all the time. These top tier Division III teams, you have a lot of the studs from these squads that get poached by these Division II and higher. We've seen guys go play at the Division I, whether it be FCS or FBS levels, and for them to be able to keep their core around and keep their culture that they've obviously instilled within these guys is very impressive. But again, today, Roger Herring Stadium, they have to do it on the road, and that's not something they've done a whole lot of. And granted, Jimmy, you can talk about this maybe a little more. The CCIW, although they did dominate that conference, maybe not the toughest road to the playoffs for the Cardinals.
Yeah, when you win your conference championship by 44 points,
it's tough.
You typically think that not the strongest conference, but, there's definitely some formidable opponents in there, but definitely not as deep as the WAC, I would say. Like there's some really good teams, like, teams like Wheaton, Augustana, North Central. But, throughout the entire
top to
WAC,
bottom.
Exactly, like, for example, like Stout finished 6th in the WIAC, and we came into La Crosse and lost by 5 points. So, I don't think the 6th best team in the CCIW would have went to North Central and only lost by 5. So that's kind of how you match it up there. But
and really, I think the matchup today, the biggest deal is, I don't know if you want to call it a Big 12 type matchup, but these two offenses are incredible, right? We're going to dive into some more of those stats here soon, but today it feels like it might be a little bit more of an old-fashioned slugfest, and who has the ball last, right? And that's not a discredit to either of these defenses. They both have some outstanding showings, but I think especially for La Crosse, their offense has been able to keep them in a lot of these games. Now, again, the defense has stepped up in some very critical moments. We'll talk about the ending of that Whitewater game here shortly, but
that'd be the biggest thing today. You got to keep that North Central offense at least out of the explosive plays. I saw a stat on North Central on Twitter about how they have like 17 touchdowns of one play this year, or something crazy of that. The guy broke it down of punt returns, kick sixes,
they've got a
pick
handful
sixes,
of
all that stuff. So,
for sure.
They got to keep him off the field.
Michael Stack, baby, the king of La Crosse. Michael Stack.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to look here at we talked about, I alluded to it, that Whitewater game. And if we take a look, man, at the end of that matchup,
look at that
going
crowd.
For 4th down here, La Crosse, this is the game they needed to clinch
that place is
their
bumping.
first outright WIAC title in quite some time. And Kaiser Helterbrand pushes forward, gets just enough yardage. He converts on this one. Coach Janis told me back in October that this man might start at 5 different positions for the Eagles. This dude does it all over the place. He's their Swiss Army knife. And look at the crowd down there in Whitewater. For a regular season game, but like I said, all the postseason applications in the world, this man eludes defenders, gets forward just enough. They convert. There's Coach Janis. They prepare for one of the longest field goals of the year. In front of the home crowd, you can see the standing room, 34-34, 3 seconds left. And this is the environment to clinch the conference. This was the scene from earlier this year.
Stone cold killer.
The dude, my heart would be beating out of my chest.
Get him a statue, dude.
Janis did say there was never a doubt. Off the foot. And that one had enough leg from potentially 60. They sink that one, upset Whitewater on the road, and the statement win for the Eagles was complete against Whitewater. Now that being one of their statement wins on the year, fellas, we've seen a lot more from this Whitewater team.
Look at the emotion right there.
The pure emotion right
love
there.
That.
I absolutely love it, man. This team absolutely deserves it. Look at that. What a scene down there in Whitewater. They are obviously hoping for a lot more fireworks in today's contest. Jimmy, do we think it'll come down to maybe a last-second type of effort from one of these squads?
No. I do not, and I will reveal my answer later as to why I do not think it will come down to a last-second play.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, as far as some other, I guess, key stats when it comes to this one, La Crosse, almost perfect on the year. They do drop the one game earlier on to a Hardin-Simmons squad that was red hot this year. 28-21, they come into La Crosse. The trip up from Texas, a very impressive win for that Hardin-Simmons squad. Now, obviously, they go on to win the ASC. They got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, but had a very respectable year for Hardin-Simmons. I feel like, though, this team learned from that and has grown for a lot of these games. And really, when you talk about the depth and the breadth of the WIAC schedule, I think they've certainly grown from that as well. They've been playing this top-tier competition. I would assume that is going to help them in a situation like today.
Absolutely. You know, and you have signature wins like a team at Whitewater, you know, and then obviously at River Falls as well. You can play against a really good team and play really well when you need to. And, you know, obviously dropping that game to Hardin-Simmons, but, you know, that being week 2, you've seen a constant exponential improvement of this team. You know, it's been amazing to see like just the growth of this offense. You see 41, 62, 56 points over their last 3 games.
That's what you want to see throughout the year. You want to play your best football at the end of the year. You know what I mean? You don't want to peak at the wrong time. Then you get to the playoffs and it's like, oh shit, you know, we're stumped. Like, what are we gonna run in this situation? But no, they've done a good job of spreading it out, run past. They've done a good job of airing it out when they need to. And I mean, it all stems off, you know, number 2. Number two is the guy back there, you know. So they ride with him, you know.
Yeah,
so.
and that goes for both teams. Lanen, Helterbrand, 2 guys that get it done through the air, obviously with their arms, but also with their legs. These guys are elusive as hell, man. And Kaiser's got a little bit more of a stockier build to him, but Lanen, you know, all credit to him in the world.
For sure.
He gets it done on the ground.
For sure.
We'll transition over and talk about the Division II side of things a little bit here. Boys, this is the current playoff picture as it pertains to Division II. And Super Region 1, you see there, we've got a rematch of the PSAC Championship in the national quarterfinal. Slippery Rock, Kutztown. Now,
very interesting stat.
Yeah, okay. What do you got here for us?
I don't know if that's a stat, and you might be saying it just now, but Kutztown was supposed to host this game.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to dive into here.
Okay.
But yes, absolutely. So that is certainly the drama coming into this one, and I will find the actual piece here. You jumped the gun a little bit.
I didn't even know you were going to say about it. Talk about it.
That's okay. I'm pulling it up here, but give me just a second. And so for those of you who aren't aware, all of the teams in the NCAA tournament have to host or send in bids to host regional finals and so on and so forth, any type of playoff game in general. And this was the statement from the official Kutztown Athletics Twitter. And if you'll read it here, it says that Kutztown University regrets that it will not be hosting the NCAA Super Region 1 football final on Saturday. Bids for each round of the NCAA playoffs must be completed by the end of October. So there's your deadline from the NCAA. Slippery Rock was awarded the regional final home game based on processing a bid all 3 rounds of the regional. This is the key part right here, fellas. Not submitting for the bid for the regional final was a misjudgment on our part. Wow. You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a player, you know.
There was absolute outrage, and understandably so. So this game will be played at Slippery Rock. And, you know, if you guys remember, the PSAC championship game, that is the one loss for Slippery Rock on the year. It was also their lowest point total from an offense that has been absolutely dynamic. The Kutztown Golden Bears defense stepped up big time in that one, but it was at home. Now, they always say defense travels. You go on the road, and obviously there's a lot of things that can happen.
Hard to beat a team twice.
It absolutely is, but, man, what a big turning point it feels like for a game of this magnitude at this point of the season.
For sure.
But that's the statement right there from Kutztown. But we'll go ahead and take a look back at the rest of the bracket, going down to Super Region number 2. Two names that certainly are not new to the playoff picture. Lenore Ryan visits Valdosta State. Coach Tremaine Jackson's got Titletown, Georgia down there jumping. Valdosta State, their one-year playoff hiatus last year. This Blazer team is a team that has won numerous national championships in the last decade or so. And I think people were very quick to write them off this year. And I think a lot of that comes down to the strength of schedule in the Gulf South Conference with teams like Delta State, like West Florida, that kind of duked it out for the conference title last year. You also talk about squads like West Alabama and those kind of teams that are always going to come out and compete and give those good games. But Sammy Edwards in that offense. We'll talk about him later.
He's
one of those,
man.
the Harlan Hill conversation. The offense from Valdosta State has been spectacular. They go on the road to Delta State in a game where those two teams shared the title for the Gulf South this year. They shared the conference title. You wouldn't have been able to tell by watching that one. That was an incredible contest, incredible showing from Valdosta. But Lenore Ryan, we'll talk about them in a little bit. They have just as good of an offense on the other side of the ball. Now, one that I'm sure a lot of our watchers and listeners are very interested in, the result in Super Region number 3. Grand Valley State has to go on the road, the number 2 team in the country, going on the road to visit Harding over down in Arkansas. Harding with both of them with a last-minute victory last week. The blocked extra point from Central Missouri trying to force overtime. Harding gets to continue their home field advantage. Can Grand Valley do it on the road? We'll find out here shortly later today. Finally, in Super Region number 4, Colorado Mines hosts Central Washington. And Central Washington has certainly, I think in Division II, been one of the Cinderella stories of the tournament. This team certainly did not have a lot of expectations coming into this thing. They lose in the Lone Star Championship to a really solid Texas Permian Basin team. From there, they've just been rolling. And the difference about this squad, guys, their defense, their defensive secondary.
Prime time, baby.
Has been lights
Prime time.
Out, man.
Tanner Volk.
Absolutely. We'll talk about him later and what he's been able to do in that defensive secondary. So let's dive into this Bears Slippery Rock game a little bit. Kutztown, they hand Slippery Rock its only loss of the year in the PSAC championship. And not only that, boys, they took away their shot at being a 1 seed, which, you think about it, should have come back to bite them in the ass here because they should have been on the road. But thankfully for them, they still get that home field advantage. This Slippery Rock offense, though, it's been nasty. We're talking about an offense that's had 43 points per game. They're averaging 5.5 rushing yards per attempt. And that's you raise your eyebrows on that one, Jim. And they're almost at 9 yards per pass attempt. So there's some stats for you. I had some highlights here that we were certainly going to pull. This is from their game against East Stroudsburg earlier in the year, but this has been something that weekly Slippery Rock has been able to pull off. And I think what's so good about them is that they've been multidimensional. And what they're able to do between the tackles is really phenomenal, as well as what they're able to do on the outside.
It's a fake.
All 3 phases, right?
Oh, yeah.
All 3 phases of the game. This Slippery Rock team is stacked all around the board. Kyle Sheets is the guy that gets it done on the outside. He's built, I don't want to say like Megatron, that'd be a disservice, but he is built like a monster of a man, and he makes a lot of big-time plays. I'm sure we'll see him on this clip. But under center for them, too, Braden Long, one of the Harlan Hill finalists we'll talk about later today. This team is star-studded. You look at the defensive end with guys like Kyle Cudlip, the transfer over from Hillsdale, who leads that front 7 defensively. There's Sheets right there. We like to call that a grown man grab over here. Yeah, head tap on him.
You got mossed.
But a lot of great things, if you're a Slippery Rock fan, to be excited about. But once again, that PSAC championship game, you hope, is not going to come back to haunt them today. We will see as they play later on, and they'll kind of kick off the slate. But diving into this one a little bit more, fellas, that game slated for 12 o'clock kickoff. That's Eastern time. Talk about this Kutztown defense a little bit more in depth. This defense has been flat out winning them games.
Yep.
Now, Kutztown, again, not a discredit to their offense. They've won games where they've scored 30-plus points in those kind of contests. But what stands out about this kind of team right here is they found a way to win in the really close matchups. I look back at games like the 9-6 overtime win over Shippensburg at home, and then just a week later. You'll lose me there?
I can hear you.
I got you.
Oh, it's my headset. Just a week later, they go on the road to a Lock Haven team that had a chance to have their first winning season in quite some time. It felt like Dan Mulrooney had the ball. The Eagles rocking over there. They win 7-3. So you go 2 weeks in a row and you allow 9 points against some decent quality opponents in the PSAC. Not to mention their absolute domination of Virginia Union in the first round of the playoffs. Virginia Union, coming out of the CIAA, one of the better rushing attacks, probably the best in that conference. Jada Byers, obviously a guy that's been talked about on the national level for a long time. They shut him down. They shut that offense down, and they dominate the ground game. I think that's the calling card for the Golden Bears today. I don't know if you guys had any notes or thoughts on that matchup in particular.
Well, I mean, the one thing that stood out to me was their defense. You know, if your defense can go and win you a game, you're stealing one. You know what I mean? Where
Yes.
a game where it's 7-3 or, you know, what was the other score?
9-6.
9-6. Like, that's a game where, like, all right, you know, our offense isn't clicking. Our defense has got to go take one. Right, and as a defense, that's what you want. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe not to score many points, but go out there and know, like, hey, we're going out there 1, 2, 3. We're getting our asses off the field.
If they don't score, they can't win.
Yep.
That's why people tune in for the great insight right here. That's it, huh?
Shout out to Coach Dan Torg, Cowboys football, circa 2012. That was his thing. If they can't score, they can't win.
I'm sure he's watching.
I love it.
Hey, you never know, man.
I love it. We can switch over a little bit here, and hold on. Switch this up here, but we can talk a little bit now about Super Region number 2, Lenore-Rhine, Valdosta State boys. Anyone want to lead the conversation on this one?
I mean, first thing that jumps out of paper is Sammy Edwards, Valdosta State, right? I mean, we'll talk about him a little bit more in depth with the Harlan Hill, but I mean, this kid can go win you a football game, right? You put the keys in his hand, you put the ball in his hand, he's gonna make something happen. And I'm not, you know, very familiar with the receiving core, the running backs, but I know that I've seen this kid play and I've seen him toss the rock around. And I mean, he's every bit of what you want in a quarterback, man. And his stats back it up. They're video game numbers, so
Yep.
That'll be one guy that I'll be interested to see his stat line at the end of the day today.
And I think what's worth noting, too, is the turnaround for Tremaine Jackson and his staff. And I think he was obviously under a lot of fire last year, and we talked about him a lot. Obviously, has been a guest on the show, so maybe I'm biased because I like the guy. But
Friend of the pod, man.
Absolutely, man. And he's been a guy that, you know, certainly has not, quote-unquote, turned that program around. This program has been around, and they're going to stay around. But credit to him to get that. After 1 year out of the playoffs, to be back in this position is huge.
Yep.
Two of the best offenses in the tournament. And like we talked about, that thumping of Delta State last week for Valdosta felt like a statement win. And, man, excuse me, the energy drink's got me wired. But, it's coming right back.
As long as we're talking about statement wins, how about Lenore-Rhine knocking off the number 1 seed last week?
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, they're coming off a huge victory. So, I mean, you know, you got a blowout victory, and then you also have, like, a huge on-the-road number 1 seed victory.
I feel like that can go two ways, you know, coming off
and
like –
that Delta State game, to be really fair, was not a blowout. It was 38-31.
Okay.
So it was a tight contest. But at one point, Valdosta State's up 21-7 in that game, and it felt like it could have gotten out of hand. So credit to the Statesmen for keeping that one close on their home field. But again, this Valdosta State team, Sammy Edwards, he throws for 347 in that contest.
See?
2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was 35 for 49. Like, these are the kind of numbers we've come to expect from them. He was also their leading rusher with 50 yards on the game. Their second leading rusher only had 20 yards. So the one thing about this Valdosta offense, if you can shut down the attack through the air or at least try to minimize it.
he threw the ball how many times? 55?
49.
Oh, I was going to say. I mean, that's still like
71% completion. That's pretty damn good.
Oh, that's really good. And that I'm pretty sure that's around his season completion percentage too. It's close to 68, 67.
Absolutely. And then Jimmy, you mentioned it. Lenore-Rhine going on the road, knocking off the number 1 seed, Benedict. They're supposed to have one of the best defenses in Division II. And you know, we've seen that conference really not hold up in the playoffs quite as well. And again, no shots. It's just kind of been the history of things. They have not held up well when matched up against some of these other conferences. You look at this Lenore-Rhine team right here. Running the ball. Dwayne McGee for them has been the textbook definition of a bell cow. He's got 1,400 yards, creeping up on 1,500, depending on the day he's going to have today on the year. That's on 200 carries. The man is averaging over 7 yards a touch right now for the Bears. That's incredible. When you talk about that rushing attack is obviously admirable. Then you, Logan, look at their passing attack, and it all starts with Sean White, who already has 1,600 yards on the year, and another man in Jalen Ferguson, who's got 1,400. Like, how do you have this kind of depth offensively? Their receiving core is chock full of, they've got 3 guys over 500 yards on the year.
Yeah, they spread the ball out really nice.
Their depth of this team is really incredible, and again, this could be a game where the defenses might be on the lower side of things. I would expect this. I don't know what the over-under is. I think it's probably going to be a lot, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, that's a safe bet. I think that's. I mean, anytime you have multiple receivers with over 500 yards, like you're gonna expect a lot of points to be scored.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This screams like a SEC game, like 4 o'clock SEC game.
Like Alabama,
4
LSU.
o'clock SEC?
Yeah, Bama LSU or the Iron Bowl or some
Yeah.
shit like that.
I mean, if it's anything like the Iron Bowl last week, then heck, we're gonna have a crazy
might be
game.
the
We'll
game
take
of the
that.
week, dude.
Yeah, right.
I love it. We can transition over, though, to Super Region number 3. Grand Valley State, they traveled to Harding, the toughest super region of them all. And this is kind of the stat to back this one up if you guys don't believe me. In the last AFCA rankings of the regular season, the top 25 rankings, this region held the number 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 17, and 25 teams in the country.
Doesn't even seem fair.
So 5 of the 7 teams were within the top 10, and there's just really there's no competition there. I think that is the toughest super region to come out of. And so now we're talking about a Grand Valley State team, and this is, again, Harding, they get the bye in the first round, which is a huge bonus for them. Grand Valley State draws that Ferris State Anchor Bone rematch in the first round. We're talking about a Laker team that could have a chance to arguably have the toughest road to the national title game in Division II history.
I mean, when you have arguably your most difficult opponent in the first round, it's going to be a tough sledding. But obviously,
But
Harding.
think about this. They got another undefeated team.
You have a team like Harding now, too, to play.
Yeah.
So.
Not even to mention the game they just had against Pittsburgh State at their home field. It took an Avery Moore touchdown with 30 seconds left.
That Pitt State team is athletic,
Slugfest.
and they're very good.
And that's, I think, what was really great about that matchup is Grand Valley and Pittsburgh State match up so well because everything for those two teams starts in the trenches. Pittsburgh State, Grand Valley State, their offensive line, their defensive line, those units are their best units for both of those teams respectively. We saw that on full display, the rushing attack, but Grand Valley is certainly has the air raid this year type of offense that has been spectacular to watch. Whether it's Cade Peterson, Avery Moore, whoever it is under center for them, they're making plays. Obviously, Avery Moore more of a rushing quarterback, but we've seen a lot of good things from them.
Well, what I like about Grand Valley too, just kind of piggyback off that, is I feel like they not only disguise their game very well, but they adjust. So they're going to come in and they're going to call the right plays. They're going to be in the right position. It's be a matter of if they can create turnovers, get off the field on defense. I mean, their defense is arguably their better half. If you really can't compare the offense and defense because they're both very, very at a high level. But I mean, at the same time, like Harding's not going to sit down. They don't care, right? They're at their home place. They're going to want to sit. They're going to want to stand on business. They're going to want to stand on business. So we'll see. That'd be a good game.
Absolutely. And we take a look at some of the highlights here from that second matchup, the Lakers and Ferris State. And I'll rewind this one a little bit here so you can take a look at this. That's Carson Golker coming out to the left side. Cardamone forces the fumble there. Abe and Cardamone both in there on that one, but one of the D1R athlete over there. We're about to see some complimentary football here from Grand Valley State. Cade Peterson with the snap. Tariq Reed, a jump cut, finds his way into the end zone. And this would get things started for the Lakers in the biggest matchup of round number 1. Look at the environment down there in Lubber Stadium. Myleik Mitchell under center behind one of the better offensive lines in Division II football. It doesn't matter. Niles King, Christian McCarroll, those guys on the outside getting things done for Grand Valley State. We've seen them do it all year. They've continued to do it. A model of consistency that Grand Valley State front 7 has been a thing of beauty to watch. That's not to discredit the guys on the outside, though. How about some of these moves, the blocking downfield, some big plays for Grand Valley. They would get ahead in this one. Not quite as much as their first round matchup, but they sealed things later on. Cody Tierney, I do believe, right there, making some moves on the outside. But like we talked about, guys, this was the biggest matchup of round 1, and I think this really set the tone for this Laker offense in particular. And I will say, I don't know if there's a scarier front 7 defensively than what the Lakers are boasting between that defensive line, that linebacker core, been able to generate so many turnovers and get so much pressure. That's been the key to winning these kind of matchups.
Yeah, I think this one's going under today, this Grand Valley matchup. I think it's going to be kind of a somewhat low-scoring game, maybe like a 21-14 Grand Valley victory kind of game.
Absolutely.
I could honestly see like a field goal, come down to a field goal.
And
late, like last 30 seconds, team gets a longer-ish field goal, like a 48, 47-yarder, try to win it.
And we've seen Harding, obviously, their offense, that triple option kind of wishbone type look, if you will. They're not throwing the ball. You know exactly what's coming from this Bison offense. That doesn't matter. They've been able to put up so many points this year. And, someone had said here, I want to know how they were matched up in the first round and seeded how they were. I'll look at you right now and tell you it's because the Division II playoffs, I don't know how they came up with the structure. It stinks. And I understand the regions locally, you want to save money by having teams stick local. if you can have, I always use this example, if you can have the FCS matchup of North Dakota State and South Dakota State in the national championship game, because they're the two best teams in the country, and they're in the same conference, that's how it should be. So Division II certainly has some things to learn. We'll see if they end up doing that here in the near future. But, you know, that we talked about that Grand Valley road to the national title game. Eventually, boys, it's going to go through Golden, Colorado, and we can switch over and talk about Super Region number 4 and what that has entailed as we finish up our Division II matchups here. Central Washington coming to town to take on Colorado Mines. And this is an offense from Colorado Mines that I don't know if we've seen quite anything like at the Division II level. They had it last year. I think the difference this year, boys, their front seven on defense, their defensive line, I think, is a unit. A lot better in the run-stopping game. I think their offensive backfield as well. Guys like Noah Roper and Landon Walker in the backfield have got a lot of things done. I think this offense is maybe a little bit more multidimensional. Obviously, you bring Matoka back under center. There's a lot to be excited about, but you've got a very good passing attack, a very good passing defense in Central Washington. What can we expect in this one?
You know, obviously, anytime you have a kid like Matoka leading your team, I think you have a really good chance to win the ball game. As long as, I think in this one, for me, the key to this game is whoever wins the turnover battle is going to win this football game. I think when you have a really efficient passing attack versus a really efficient passing defense, it's going to come down to if the ball gets turned over or not. So
yeah, no, I think think those are all good notes.
I mean, I'll say one thing about it. Mines is very good. You know, Kobe's probably watched more than I have, but I've sat down and watched a little bit with him. But at the same time, like, they could be as good as they want last week or the week before that, but it don't matter now. You know what I mean? It's next week. So I want to see them come out, be sharp, especially on offense, go down, be great like they have been all year, and just seal the deal. And then, I mean, don't put it past Central Washington. That's all I'm gonna like.
I've counted them out.
It's not going to be an easy game.
I've counted them out every week.
Yep.
To my dismay, I've counted that Wildcat team out every single week. They've proved me wrong up until this point. My challenge again: prove me wrong today. I think this is a very tall task going out to Colorado. If there's a team that does it though, I mean they've already made one trip out to Colorado. If you guys remember, Western Colorado in the first round of the playoffs, they go to overtime with that squad, have a miraculous finish for the Wildcats there, stun the Mountaineers, who are having a hell of a year over there in the RMAC. But again, very tall task today. Talk about this offense from Mines. They've got almost 10 yards per pass attempt. They're averaging 51 points a game. And I think, like I talked about earlier, their offense is so much more multidimensional than last year. You look at the first downs, they've got 140 rushing to 158 passing.
That's way more balanced.
You talk about last year and their matchup with Ferris State in the national championship game. Let's be honest. That team did not match well against a GLIAC opponent that, like we talked about, the game starts and ends at the line of scrimmage.
Big Ten football.
It is. It's good. That and NSIC, you could certainly argue, is in that conversation. But, you know, that team did not match up to a Ferris State in their physicality. And I think Grand Valley would certainly be in that conversation too. This year, this Mines team is different. I think they have a lot more of the keys that are going to be big to helping them succeed and maybe surpass some of the points of last year. But as far as D2 goes, I think we're at a pretty good spot. Let's move over and talk about the full D3 bracket. And we will not start with today's matchup. We'll finish it with some keys to the game here shortly. But as far as the other games go, we've got Alma hosting Cortland. That one's going to be a super exciting game for Alma. That place is going to be jumping. Small school, big energy in Lower Michigan today.
Get the kilts out, baby. Come on, Coach Couch.
And obviously a crowd favorite over here, UW Whitewater. They're going to Wartburg. And we'll see, depending on the winner of these two games, a potential rematch of WIAC foes in the national semifinal. Finally, Randolph-Macon going to Johns Hopkins. Jimmy, what jumps out about these ones? What are we excited about here?
So, you know, the first matchup here I look at is Cortland and Alma. You know, Alma coming off of arguably the biggest win in program history last week over the Mount Union Purple Raiders, who were a 19-point favorite against the Scots last week. And they proved me wrong big time. Alma coming in there, being down 20-0 on the road in the fourth quarter to come back and win 24-20.
Unbelievable.
24 unanswered points against the Mount Union Purple Raiders.
I don't believe it was unanswered.
It was not unanswered?
No. I don't believe so.
Regardless, they scored other points in
a huge fourth quarter
Yeah.
comeback. Yeah, just miraculous. Coming in, Alma wins a lot, and they win big. Coming in, scoring 47 points per game, only allowing 16 points a game as well. Interesting tidbit here. I have Alma has lost the time of possession battle every game by 26-34 on average, and I think that's accredited to how quickly their offense puts the ball in the end zone. You know, when you run a quick offense and you score really quickly, you know, you're not going to be on the field for quite too long. I think that is a testament to why they're losing the time of possession battle.
I would say, quote unquote, losing
quote unquote
there.
losing. And then you skip over to a team like Cortland here on the opposite side of the matchup. Similar story with them. They frequently win blowout victories, averaging 45 a game, only allowing 17. They just barely escaped a really talented Grove City team on a last-second missed field goal. And I think the key to Cortland today is if they continue to run the ball well as they have all year, averaging 233 yards per game on the ground. So they can certainly pound the rock and expect for them to do a lot of that today. We're expecting a really high-scoring matchup here in this one. Over-under sitting at 68 points.
Yeah.
68.
Obviously, we had the pleasure of having the quarterback from this squad, Carter St. John, on the show. Fellas, this is the play that did it for Alma over Mount Union. You'll see St. John quality's not the best here, obviously. This right-handed quarterback's going to do his best Tim Tebow impression. How about the jump pass into the back of the end zone to seal the deal in Mount Union? You see the faces on those players. They knew that one was over from the jump. But, man, get one more look at the replay of this one. They run the ball 3 times. They tricked just about everyone on that Mount Union defense. Everyone sucked up into the run. And it looks like he got a little antsy here. The jump pass. Talk about wide ass right in the end zone, man.
Great play call. You know what that is?
Ballsy.
That's ballsy. Yep, I was about to say that is ballsy.
I love it. One more look at it right there. And, you know, we've had Coach Couch on the show as well, actually. And if you guys do remember, he's wearing a kilt on game day. And he's got some nerves under that kilt to make a call like that at the end of this kind of game.
If he's got to wear it and that's what it takes, do it again, man.
I know he's a little chilly, though. He's got to be a little chilly.
He's got to have something under the kilt. He's got to.
I mean, you'd hope so.
A day like today, my hands are already frozen.
I sure hope so.
I love it, Jim. But let's move over to the next part of the region. Talk about this Whitewater game going to Wartburg. What can we expect from this kind of matchup today?
Obviously, massive game, biggest game of the year for both squads here. You know, the Warhawks aim to get to the semifinal for the first time in the Jace Rindle era in his first season at the helm. Pound the Rock is Whitewater's slogan. It's all over their facility, and they certainly stuck to their roots.
Tamir Thomas, man, holy cow!
Yeah, anyone want to take a guess how many yards a game Whitewater runs for?
330.
That might be a
not
little
quite,
egregious.
Not quite. 265.
Okay.
265 yards a game.
You say that's a lot until you hear the number later, Kobe.
Yep.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, I mean, we'll save that big number for later. But, that rushing attack led by Tamir Thomas and obviously, Alec Ogden, very athletic quarterback, and then Elijah Maripar, the complement Tamir Thomas there in the backfield for the Warhawks. And then obviously Wartburg only allowing 10 points a game. And then obviously a big win over Whitworth last week. Niall McLaughlin, 352 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns for Wartburg. And obviously look for them to try to slow down the Whitewater rushing attack. And push the ball down the field as well on Whitewater secondary. I think that's an area of weakness for their defense.
Some big-time defensive players in this contest, too. You see the graphic on the screen there. Owen Grover, I do believe, is the name of the man from Wartburg. And then Egan Hine from Whitewater. 2 big-time defensive playmakers. Look for them to be really big impact players. Both Gagliardi Trophy semifinalists, I do believe, playing in the defensive backfield and the linebacker core, respectively, for those squads. And I think this is going to be much more of a defensive matchup. It's going to be, like you talked about, a little bit more ground and pound for some very physical squads today.
Yep, I think the key in this one, obviously, as we said, it's going to be a big game about running the football. I think whoever wins the time of possession today, especially in this defensive kind of minded game, I think is going to win this one. Point total sitting at 54 in this one. So definitely the lowest of the 4 Division III games today. One of them being there's 83, 68, 68, and 54 in this one, and obviously 2 of the best defenses in the country, very appropriate point total.
There could be some shootouts today, man.
Yeah,
there could be some freaking shootouts.
I think this game we're going to watch today is going to be the highest scoring game in Division III this season.
We'll see about that. Another one on the radar for Division III football fans across the country. Randolph-Macon going into Johns Hopkins, also slated for a 12 o'clock Eastern kickoff. The Yellow Jackets, what are they doing right now, Jim?
They're buzzing.
They are absolutely
buzzing. After
this program is oh, my God. I mean, the head coach there obviously been there for, almost 20 years. And the way that he's been able to cultivate this program, and again, we talk about the culture and what's been instilled in those guys. I'm sure you'll mention it, man. The dominant win they had last week, I don't think a single soul saw that coming in that kind of fashion.
When you win a playoff game by 40-plus points against especially a team like Ithaca, who's a very respectable program.
For sure.
Very good program.
As far as the defensive end?
0 points.
Yeah.
That is astounding to hold the team to 0 points in the playoffs. You know what's crazier? Running for 388 yards.
Also crazy.
In a single game.
Also crazy.
I don't think I've seen that all year.
No.
I mean maybe North Central might have done it actually, but
As a team?
maybe. I mean,
no. You're saying 388 is a team they ran for? I promise
had
you
to have. They had to have.
Jimmy,
yeah.
I promise you they have.
Yeah, it's just absolutely.
Just wait till you hear the
bananas.
numbers.
And Brandon Evans for Randolph making 3 interceptions last week for them.
Big time. Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, that's hard to do.
To me, it feels like they're going to need a couple of those today as well, right? To keep this Johns Hopkins offense off the field. You're going to talk about Ugly here in a second on the ground. If they let this Johns Hopkins team control the pace of play on their home field, I think it spells trouble for the Yellow Jackets. But if they can keep that offense for the Blue Jays off the field, I think that this game is wide open for them. Certainly, and it's for sure predicted to be a very tight matchup as we're starting to freeze our butts off over here, aren't we?
A little bit, yeah. But
can you see the breath through here? This is
Johns Hopkins coming into this game at home as a 3.5-point underdog,
which is crazy.
Yeah, a
little
bit.
That's crazy.
Being at home, being underdogs a little bit. You wouldn't really expect that as much, but the home team here today is a little bit of an underdog as well. So there's the Division III bracket is not. How do I put this? They're no stranger to home underdogs, if you will.
No, absolutely. I think you're spot on there, and I think that for the most part wraps up quite a bit of our quick coverage here. But I certainly did. We cannot go on without mentioning the contest here. The Eagles, the Cardinals, and I know, Jimmy, you had some keys to the game today for both these squads. I try and pull up the overlay here, but talk about for this Eagle squad. What are the things that scream to you? What do they need to get done in order to take home a victory today, my friend?
First of all, I think if Lacrosse wants to win this football game today, they cannot turn the ball over.
Absolutely.
And I think they need to force at least 2 turnovers on defense. When you have an offense like North Central that scored 71 points last week.
Against a very quality Trinity squad.
Trinity has, I believe, 2 Gagliardi semifinalists in their defense.
Could be. At least one.
Yeah, I know they definitely have at least one, but it's going to be really, really tough either way for this Lacrosse team, just with the respect to North Central. Look for them to try to run the ball and obviously air it out as well. Get the ball.
The ground game is going to be huge for North Central today. They can determine the pace of play, and then I think what that does for Lanen and company there, you have that front 5 in front of that offensive line. He's been so comfortable this year, and what helps is obviously his ability to move, but when he gets that kind of comfort and you have these teams that have to kind of stack the box to protect the run from guys like Sacco out of the backfield, then you see him start to attack the seam. They take these vertical shots to guys like Hardy that I know we'll talk about later.
I got 2 words in this segment right now. You both probably know what it is.
Yes.
D'Angelo Hardy.
He's a
That's
stud.
I'm not even going to say anything else about it. Just D'Angelo Hardy.
But again, and we'll talk to Coach Janis here very shortly, but, this is a kind of time where you're not going to stop this North Central offense. What you can do, though, is minimize the time they're on the field and minimize their playmakers. And if you can do that, it certainly can spell success for this Lacrosse team. Like I said, though, you're not going to come out here and pitch a donut on this kind of team. It's just how can you respect the playmakers, divvy up those assignments, and minimize their potential.
Yeah, I think the Lacrosse offense needs to have some long, sustainable drives, like you said, to keep that North Central offense off of the field. I think if Lacrosse can have a really, really strong first half and wear down that North Central defense a little bit, I think it's going to open up a lot of different things for them. I think they need to establish the run game early on in this game so they can maybe do a little bit of play action in the second half or even late in the first half as well. Lacrosse isn't necessarily known for like an astounding run game, but when they need to, they can definitely run it a little bit, especially with Kaiser.
Yep.
But look for them to air it out a little bit today. Is probably their strength of their offense is just getting that ball to Jack Studer, Jack Janke.
Yep. Bartle on the outside.
Bartle, Stubbendick. Yeah, they got some good playmakers.
They
on
do,
on the
absolutely.
outside.
And I think the first score is huge.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Whoever,
momentum.
It's almost to the point where if you win the toss, I almost want the ball. You look at the stats, Jim, and I don't know if we can find them off the bat, but man, when North Central scores first, you do not want to be the opposing squad. They're winning over 70% of those games. Now, when someone else scores first on them, you can't just concede the game, but all of a sudden your chances look a lot better. So I think if you're Lacrosse, it's almost to the point where you win the toss. Damn it, we want the ball. We want to drive down here and show the world here that what we're about against this really quality North Central team. I'm really excited for the start of this one. I'm with you guys. I think the first 15 minutes, this first quarter, is going to tell us all we need to know about this matchup in particular.
And Kobe, as you're going on there, I mean, you can just – the cars are starting to pile in, the tailgates are coming out, the hoots are coming out. And honestly, I think, like, if Lacrosse wants to come out and win this football game, they got to win the turnover battle, and they got to keep momentum. I think that's a huge thing with the home crowd. Obviously, North Central's adapted to the weather. That's not going to play a factor, but they got to take advantage of the home atmosphere here for sure.
Yeah, but then our stat here, the Eagles are 85-34 since 2003 when scoring first, and 32-52 when the opponent scores first.
That's big.
So that puts you at a 71% clip when you score first, and a 38 and change when you score second.
They're also 10-0 this year.
As we wrap up the Division III scene, we've got the tailgaters starting to show up. This environment's only going to get better as we move on here in La Crosse, Wisconsin. We'll have Coach Matt Janis joining us here within the next 10 minutes. But as we close out the first hour, we're going to shift back to the Division II scene and talk about potentially the most prestigious award in Division II. That's right here, boys, the Harlan Hill Award, awarded to the best player in all of Division II, the National Player of the Year at this level. And, Kate, I think you're going to start us off on this conversation with a man right here that has quite the year on the ground. Michael Herzog from Hillsdale has had a hell of a time for the Chargers over there, man.
Kobe, here's a guy that's just been absolutely dominant on the ground. He has 230 attempts in the year for just over 1,300 yards. That's best for top 10 in D2. He's got 21 touchdowns. He's tied second in D2, and he's got 121 yards per game. That is another top 10 stat for D2. So, I mean, this guy is electric. I mean, anytime he gets the ball, he can take it for 6 on you. And
some quality defenses in the GMAC, too.
For sure.
The offenses maybe haven't. But you talk about, you're playing against teams like Findlay. Tiffin has been a really good one. Right. Ashland, those kind of squads that come out of that conference. He's not playing against.
And I think
I don't even know what the analogy
that
would
just
be.
puts more respect on his name, So, I mean, that's it. He's has definitely a very solid resume.
Absolutely. And then moving on in Super Region number 1, the quarterback for Slippery Rock, Braden Long. Obviously a huge matchup for him and the Rock today. Tell us about what he's been able to do for the Rock under center.
We mentioned him a little bit earlier, with their matchup with Kutztown. But, I love the stuff he's been doing this year. He's got a 68% completion percentage. He's got just about 3,500 yards, which is good for 6th in Division II. 35 touchdowns to 5 picks, which 35 touchdowns is good for 5th in D2. So, I mean, the guy's having a freaking year. He is balling out. He's going to look to do the same today, try to get that Slippery Rock team out of next week.
Absolutely, man. And then as we continue to move on, we'll touch over the rest of these guys. I do believe that's all for Super Region number 1. But moving into number 2, this man we alluded to earlier, Sammy Edwards, the quarterback for the Blazers. Yep. One of the better uniforms in Division II, I dare say, those black unis. Talk about that offense for Valdosta State.
I mean, you see it with the picture here, Kobe. He's got the look. He's got the Jordans on. I mean, he looks the part. This kid is freaking. I mean, he's a video game character. Again, 68% completion percentage on the year, over 4,000 yards, which is good for 2nd in Division II. He has 33 touchdowns, which is another top 10 mark, and 9 interceptions. So, I mean, the kid's balling. Again, he'll look to do the same today and try to lead that high-power offense next weekend.
The team that they took down last week, the Statesman from Delta State, Patrick Shegog, a man who has won just about every accolade this year when it comes to the Gulf South. Another man, looks the part, plays the part, has been the part for the Statesman. Talk about him.
Maybe the most efficient guy on this list, Kobe. He is 67% completion percentage. You see a common theme throughout those guys. He has a little over 2,600 yards, but 32 touchdowns, which is tied for 8th in D2, and only 2 picks.
Taking care of the football.
Only 2 interceptions is absolutely huge, and I think that should play a huge part into it.
Absolutely. And then moving forward here, on to Super Region number 3. Talk about from the MIAA, a shout for Braden Gleason. Not a guy we've seen in the postseason, but you want to talk about efficiency? Give us the numbers on this man, how he's been able to take care of the ball this year for the Hornets.
And if you guys been tuned in since the start, I told you these freaking numbers are like alien numbers, like video game numbers. This kid is a 74% completion percentage. He's got over 3,700 yards in the year, which is 4th in D2. He has 41 touchdowns, 2nd Division II football, and 3 interceptions.
And you know what, damn it, he's got the flow to do it all, too.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that lettuce.
Can't even contain the lettuce on this guy.
He kind of looks like Gardner Minshew a little bit with the.
I wonder if he's got a stash on under that face mask. He's rocking everything under there.
He gotta.
I love it. But moving forward, finally, also in Super Region number 3, we've got Gage Porter, the quarterback from Southern Nazarene, and this guy, although maybe not the Zach, but maybe not the craziest stats through the air, but what he's been able to do on the ground for that squad over there has been remarkable.
You're right, Cole. He's got 236 attempts for 1,751 yards and 25 touchdowns, which is 1st in D2 rushing touchdowns as a quarterback.
How do you game plan that? How do you game plan against that at all?
You don't. That's the thing. You don't. You can't you can't base it off that because they have a whole other aspect to their game. You go to the other side of things, his passing is a little shaky. He's got a 55% completion percentage. He has 10 touchdowns but 11 interceptions. That could take a little, mark off him, but I mean, 25 touchdowns and almost 1,800 yards on the ground. I mean, that is impressive.
this textbook definition of the offense runs through that man. This man might have the craziest stats out of them all. Zach Zabrowski, a man who we've had the pleasure of having on the show from the University of Central Missouri, the Mules. He has been phenomenal for them. The transfer from Southern Illinois at the Division I level, he comes in the first week of the year. He's technically the backup. Doesn't know if he's going to be in that starting role. Their starter goes down. He steps in and has a lights-out game in week one. He's done it every single week. They have a heartbreaker last week at Harding. We knew it wasn't going to be the offense that let the Mules out of the playoffs. Unfortunately, we do not get to see this man play today, but talk about what he's been able to do so far in 2023.
This kid hit all the points. I mean, a damn near 70% completion percentage, 5,157 yards, which is good for first in Division II, 61 touchdowns. That is right, 61 touchdowns. That's first in D2.
I don't get it.
5 interceptions.
How many games was it?
5
10
interceptions.
Games?
No, it's into the playoffs too, so it would have been 12, 13.
I mean, guys, that's like you go on Madden with Josh Allen in the franchise mode, and you couldn't throw for 61
on rookie.
On rookie mode?
61-5, dude.
And this man from Super Region number 4, the reigning title winner here, John Matoka from Colorado School of Mines. Not quite the number, the volume, if you will, the same as Zabrowski.
They were blowing
but
everybody
this
out.
man, exactly, he's taken out of the game when they blow out these RMAC opponents. John Matoka is very much still the dude in Division II.
That's the thing. Like you could arguably give it to him again because his team is so freaking good. I mean, his offense is he leads that offense, and he's been there for a minute now. He's got a 70% completion percentage, just over 3,500 yards, which is good for 5th in D2, 39 touchdowns, which is a top 3 mark in D2, and only 5 picks. You see a common denominator with these guys. They take care of the football.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. They take care of the football, and they got to do it today too.
Finally, the only defensive nominee on this list from Central Washington squaring off against that man Matoka today, Tanner Volk. This dude. Talk about the year he's having. He's a big reason why the Wildcats are in the position they are right now. He's very close to making some huge noise on a national level.
I may be a little biased playing the safety position, but this kid is guys, I don't think I've seen a stat line like this before in my life. He has 62 solo tackles, 53 assists, which is good for 115 total tackles.
That's insane.
That's tied for 10th in D2. At the DP position, that is very difficult to do.
Yes.
He has 8.5 TFLs, and the most impressive, leading the NCAA and a couple away from the record, I do believe.
Yes.
13 interceptions.
Absolutely.
13 picks. I mean, that is unheard of.
Do you know what the record is?
Either 14
It can't
or
be
15.
It can't be much. It can't be much than freaking 13.
A lot of records to be broken, but alas, a record that will not be broken today is this man's shaving streak. One of the more superstitious men in Division III football. Joining us now, the head coach of the Eagles, Coach Matt Janis.
Yes, sir.
Let's go. What's up,
Happy
guys?
to have you, man. We'll get the headphones on you here. They're a little tricky, but you got an R&L inside of there, and then should be hooked up right on the microphone.
All right.
Hopefully you can hear us good.
Yeah,
This
I'll
is
scooch
awesome.
over a little bit here, but Coach, I appreciate you joining us out here, man. It's been it's
thank you
brisk
guys.
out here, not gonna lie, but I'm
too
glad
bad.
we got the broadcast up. Not stopping you, obviously, the cutoff sweatshirt. Talk about the apparel today, the pregame apparel.
Well, it's I am like you said it already, the most superstitious person probably in the world. It's a little crazy. Haven't shaved since I think week 5. So it just and I can't grow a beard, so I look absolutely horrible. I understand that. We got to wear the same attire pregame. It goes so far I got to like park in the same parking spot.
Okay.
And I actually screwed that up one day, so I had to get up in the middle of the day
Absolutely.
and move my car.
You have,
Absolutely.
of course.
Yep, C9. I got to be in the 3rd spot from the right there. So
Now we've seen you with the flow in previous years.
Got rid
Now
of
the
it,
playoff
yeah.
beard, the flow and the beard, too much for the Division III world.
Yeah,
They're not
it's
ready
too
for
much,
that yet.
Too much. Nope, nobody's ready for that. No, I had to get rid of the flow. It just got, it was a kind of a COVID thing, right? When
Okay.
everything kind of shut
Okay,
down
yep.
and nobody got haircuts. So I just kind of let it go, and then we just kind of let it go, and then. When you have long hair as a coach, it kind of angers some people at
love
times,
it.
so I enjoyed
I
that.
love
But
it.
yeah, so
Yeah,
we moved
yeah.
on from the flow, and now we got this ugly looking, whatever you want to call it. Not a beard, but just facial hair, I guess.
Talk about today, obviously, the tailgate just opening up, people starting to roll in for your squad to come out and support. It could be negative 20. I think these people
Our
would still
fans
show
are the
up. They
best.
were lining up an hour beforehand. Talk about what you're expecting from the environment today.
Our fans are the best. They're awesome. They are lined up. Where is Mr. Daines? Mr. Daines was lined up at 7:30, I think.
Come
I
on.
walked through at 7:30.
He almost beat us here.
Yep, the red truck is number 1. There's kind of an order with how this goes, but it's just so great. It's obviously seeing, not only just our parents, but you see former players, you see people from the community.
Ooh, there we go. There you go. Here you go.
There we go.
Yeah, okay.
I can't go.
Take it easy on that. Yeah, it's all right. Let's take it easy on that.
All right.
Might want to bring that down a little bit. Actually, I got a little echo. There we go. Sorry, Coach. We're little technical piece there.
Yeah, no,
You're
it's
good.
It's good. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. I love our home games. I don't think there's an atmosphere like it. We just got we eat our pregame meal at the cafeteria. Everybody that works for our dining service had a huge flag out that everybody signed. It's
love it.
Just really exciting, and obviously this community and this university and in our lacrosse family.
Yeah, and talk about too. Obviously, not your first trip to the playoffs, not the squad's first trip to the playoffs, but in that first round, felt like you guys got a taste of it. Now, obviously, the expectation's a little bit higher, the way you've been able to clinch the outright title in the WIAC. Talk about those expectations and coming in today, if that changes your approach at all and what you're expecting, maybe more, and you've already done it, but just leveling up and continuing to raise the bar for this team and this program.
Yeah, I think I came in with the vision at this place and the vision that we set forth as I became the head coach. And obviously, having been worked under the staff, I got handed the reins to a program that was in a really good position to make that step.
Absolutely,
no doubt. Taking over for Coach Schmidt before me, like he did a fantastic job getting this thing getting this thing going. And then I took over with the vision of, hey, it was about two numbers here. It's about 34 and 4, and that was our 34th conference title in school history and our 4th national championship in school history. And those are the expectations we set forth. And so over the last 3 years. For the last 2 years now, we've won 34 and we've won 5, and so this has been, now it's about number 4 and this push with our guys here. So just keep continuing to chip away at this, and obviously have a really good opponent. But this is the expectations of lacrosse. This is the expectation of being an Eagle, of being a part of this university that you're expected to win here. Like that's the deal. We have an extremely rich football tradition. We have an extremely rich football history, and with that the history and with that tradition, people expect you to win.
Absolutely.
You're expected to be here, and I certainly want to be at a place, and certainly want to be at a place where you have those type of expectations. And here we are now in the quarterfinals, and playing the defending national champions.
And you talk about that, and that's been the storyline, right? They have to come to your place. The road comes through this location right here, this stadium, and that's been a big part of it this week. Obviously, a lot of outside noise, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What has the balance been like for you and the guys? And I'm sure there is a mesh, there's a fine line between, embracing this moment and enjoying the hell out of it, because how many times are you going to be here? But also, man, we got to lock the hell in. We got a job to do on Saturday. Talk about how you tread that line with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a huge task, and they're a really talented football team that's been on a tremendous. I mean, what they're doing under Coach Spencer and obviously Coach Thorne before that, what they're doing on offense and what they're doing on D, it's just really, really special. And obviously it's a huge opponent with a lot of different weapons. But and obviously we can talk and you can debate and everybody can talk about, hey, why are they coming here? What is the deal with the bracket? This is what it is, right? And so this is what it is. And I think, and I got a chance to talk to Coach Spencer a little bit last night. And I think he's kind of in the same point. Hey, this is what it is. This is where we're at, and we're going to play this game. And so here we go. So we haven't really focused. I think as a football team, you just become so wrapped up in your routines, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, we have our scouting report at 8:30 a.m. on Monday morning. On Tuesday mornings, they're up early for weights. On Thursday morning, up early. So you just get wrapped into your routine, and eventually, the outside world, the outside noise, you don't think about it. You
Absolutely.
just kind of, you don't, not that you choose to ignore it. You're just so stuck in your own routine that you don't really pay attention to the outside world.
That's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it. Control what you can control. You guys have certainly done that. And speaking of that, you're a defensive coach. You obviously have a lot of input on that side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Talk about what you have to do today to maybe not stop, but to limit and minimize the impact of some of the players in this North Central offense, because we've talked about them ad nauseum across the board. They've got playmakers out there. Talk about how you're going to attempt to distribute and kind of, like I said, limit their contributions offensively.
Yeah, I mean, it's a series by series, and I think that's what our team as a whole has gotten so good at. Not in today's day and age, it's impossible to almost keep teams to 0
Absolutely,
points, right?
man,
It's just not how football is anymore. And so you accept that, and so you tell them, hey, we're focused on a series by series, and whatever happened the series before doesn't matter, and whatever's gonna happen, we're just focused. We get to the bench, we hit reset, we hit refuel, we get on the whiteboard, we talk about it, and that's what it's going to have to be this game. They're going to score touchdowns. There's going to be explosive plays. And I think there's going to be explosive plays back and forth here.
Yes,
and so
for
us, it's about focusing on that one series, on getting that one stop. I mean, he's a phenomenal play caller. He does such a good job of using unbalanced sets. He does such a good job of using extra tackles. And what he's trying to distribute is he's trying to get you to spread your defense out so that he can find the extra who's not responsible for the quarterback. It's all, with their quarterback, it's a 6-back offense. So he's constantly moving formations, getting you into unbalanced sets so that you all of a sudden you lose your quarterback player, right? And all of a sudden now we don't have somebody responsible for the quarterback. And with that guy, he can score from anywhere on the field. So like that's and they do such a great job as play calling. So it's constantly going to be back and forth, and I am really excited about it. I'm excited to go.
Hey, you ain't the only one, by the way.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
One.
Like I love the challenge of this, right? Like I love that it's going to be a chess match. It's not me just looking at a play sheet going, I call this play because it's it. No, like you have to I'm going to have to work from the moment we say go here, and it's going to be a constant kind of chess match back and forth of, okay, he's doing this. This is how he's attacking. This is how we got to react. And so, like, I love playing in games like that, and we got a chance to do that this year, and I truly, like, that's what makes football like my passion. That's why I love coaching.
Brings the best out of you, I'd assume.
Oh yeah, it's gonna. We're gonna have to work, and we're gonna have to really be good, and then obviously that goes in turn to our bench and our communication skills to our players on the bench as well.
Now, one, I want to appreciate you and thank you for coming on the show with us today. That's just
a lot going on, man.
This is probably something that's never been done before in the history of small college football, which is awesome. Two, I want to kind of jump back to how you say that you're a very superstitious guy. You do the same thing over and over again. It's hard to create winning habits in a program and have them last for this long, correct? So I just want to kind of pick your brain at how you get these guys to, keep that same mindset day in and day out, not just getting up, we got to practice again. We got to lift again. We got to go to class, right? So how do you kind of keep those guys involved, especially this late in the year, and keeping them, wired to, we still got a job, fellas. We're in the playoffs. We won the conference championship.
Every practice is a gift, man.
Yep. This is don't matter how good you played last week, right?
Yep.
Only thing that matters is, this Saturday and that Monday and that Tuesday, right? So just kind of questioning how you keep those guys creating winning habits.
Well, I'll back this up. Thank you guys. I mean, don't thank me. Like, this is absolutely awesome what you guys are doing, and the highlights that you show and you put out, and you guys recognize that there's good football players at all different levels, right? Division II, NAIA, Division III. And I mean, credit to you guys for putting the whole thing together, and to showcase this, and to showcase how important different levels of football are. And I think that's why you guys continue to grow in popularity here. But, when it comes down to our team, then, I don't know what the correct answer is. I think, obviously, you start with the foundation and you start with the expectations. And the guys that were with us in 2021, like, they started that of, hey, the expectation is here that we spend Thanksgiving together. And so each class that kind of has put their stamp on it, right, and being in the playoffs and winning a conference championship, like all that goes, like everything we're doing right now for this year, every practice that we get, like I told our guys all the time, I tell them every day, every practice that we get, every rep that we get matters. And it doesn't matter if you're playing in today's game, and there's only 58 that can, or if you're the scout team guy, because those reps that you get lead into next year. And like, I use the example all the time, like Dane Walter is our starting left tackle. And Dane, really big. He's 6'7". He's a really phenomenal player. But he his freshman year, like all freshmen, he struggled. But because we got extra playoff practices last year, the light bulb clicked on in the first playoff practice. Like, you could just see it and you just go, oh my God, he's using his length. Like, there he goes. He just figured it out. Like, the light, like, and you just see that kind of happen. Like, we did a really good one-on-one session with our scout team, like just one-on-ones on Tuesday. And like I was so excited after, because I saw it all click. Like, you can see, okay, the receivers, like, it's finally the coaching points. That's the struggle with some freshmen, right? The coaching point, like, that never like hits us. Like, you see the DBs doing this technique, you see the receivers with this release, and it all kind of comes together. So I think, a long story, to make that really long, I think part of it is the expectation set forth by previous classes. And then, I don't know if I do much. I don't know if I do anything special. Like, I say rule one in our program is you be you. And I just let our kids have fun with it. They're goofy. Like, by the time we get to Friday, you almost can't talk to them because they're so goofy. But I let them be themselves. And,
I love it.
So you try to make it as fun and personable as you possibly can.
Right. And I want to stick on that offense. And you talk about the growth from him in particular. Another guy we've seen a lot of growth from, the man under center for you guys, Kaiser Helterbrand. Talk about the injury coming off last year and what he's been able to grow into. You told me in October he could probably start on 4 positions on the other side of the ball. I'm assuming he's going to be limited to under center today, but talk about his growth and the stuff that you've seen, even from our last conversation in October to now.
I mean, you get guys maybe once in a blue moon like him. You do, and you just appreciate the heck out of him. Guys that are just built differently. Guys that have it. They have that type of gene that I want I want the ball in my hands. I want if there's a pressure situation, I want the ball. Call my number. And, like, he has that gene. And just it's just so special when you have that as a coach. Like, because, I yell at my guys all the time on the sidelines, right? Like, hey, don't be spectators. Like, you're here to, you got to be involved. You got to do this. But, like, sometimes I get caught being a spectator when Kaiser's got the ball in his hands. I'm like, oh, my gosh, that guy's on my team.
Oh, no. Oh, yes.
Yeah, coach, sorry, I got to think about this situation.
Just the way we drew it up.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, it's a credit to him. It really is. I mean, the guy tore his ACL less than a year ago, and like his work ethic back. I don't think people understand what he was throwing in spring ball, like in Skelly, in 7-on-7, like throwing like whatever 4 months post-op. Everything he did, he grinded for this. Like, he pushed himself more than I've seen any other 18 to 22-year-old kid after an injury. He embraced hey, I was hurt. He didn't pout about it. It was just about getting better and being back for week 1 of 2023. And man, and then obviously the big part of that credit too goes to Coach McGuire, our offensive coordinator. And,
Absolutely.
You've heard people talk about this before, and it is 100% true. That the biggest and most important relationship in sports is between the play caller on the offense side of the ball and the quarterback. And those two have grown throughout their time together, and it's the relationship that they have. It's almost like sickening in a way because they think alike. You know what I mean? Like they're like
spend too much time together. You start to pick up on the lingo and everything.
Like they have like Kaiser could probably call the game, and if you just like Kaiser call, it'd probably be pretty much right on pace with what Coach McGuire is going to call. So I think when you have that kind of relationship with your quarterback and play caller, that's pretty special.
That's what I heard about. Awesome. Sorry, Cope, just quick. I heard Mike McCarthy talking about Dak Prescott yesterday on the radio, and he said, it's kind of weird because it's getting to the point where he finishes my sentences, which is what you're kind of alluding to. And it's crazy that came up yesterday because what else do you want, right? You want guys clicking on the same, wavelength, and that's the best you can do right there, right? Having the great relationship.
When you can combine that, with the play calling, right, and the understanding of, okay, this is why Coach McGuire is calling this play right now. This is the reason why, because we think we're going to get this coverage, or we think we're going to get attacked right here. So this is why. And like when you can mesh that, I mean, it's like it's a thing of beauty, and that's why we've been able to have success on the offense side of the ball.
It's huge. I mean, as someone who I've had a couple knee surgeries. I've done it 2.5 times here. I'm going borderline 3 times here. And the physical part of it, is huge. The mental part of it, like you talk about, 4 months post-op, to be back in some kind of football setting is crazy, is incredible to me. The fact that the mental fortitude that takes is obviously takes a lot. But I know, Jimmy, you had a question for Coach.
Yeah, Coach. So obviously playing a team like North Central, they've won 33 games in a row. What is the message to the guys in the locker room this week?
What is the message? Well, there's been a couple. Obviously, still a big part of the focus is on us and what we can do, and we got to control our end and be gap sound and make sure we're like all those little things, right? But they understand, and they came to this place, like we talked about earlier. They came to this place to play in big games like this,
right?
So why would you flinch? Why would you be nervous about this? And we have played in big games throughout the year. So so for them, like my message before the game, and we go under that right there. My message is gonna be as simple as this: is go enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Like, that's it. You have this moment that you worked for. It's number 1 in the country versus number 4 in the country to go to the semifinal. Like, what is there?
This is why you play.
This is it. Yeah. This is why you're here. This is why you chose to play. This is why you got up at 6 a.m., right? This is why you got up at 6 a.m. all off season to do this. So go put a smile on your face and have fun.
I love that. And I heard Coach Saban talk the other day on Pat McAfee's show, it's just fantastic having him on there. But he talks about, their matchup with Georgia in the SEC championship and against a really good squad, and they've got a lot of tape on you. Well, how much do you change? Do you change your whole game plan? And he said, I love this point. I think it goes to credit to what kind of you were talking about. If you change the entire game plan, what you tell the players is, hey, what we're doing is not good enough. What you guys are doing is not good enough. Be yourself, be who you are, be true to yourself. And I'm sure you're going to have a couple wrinkles for these boys today. I'm sure you absolutely will. You don't have to divulge anything. But at the same time, you're going to be true to your roots. You're going to be true to what these guys have done all year. And I think that's a testament to the confidence in this group and the strength of this program.
Yeah, and I think, at this point, right, at this point in the year, for both teams, right, like, there's only, like, what haven't you done?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
there's only
like,
put it on tape. It's on
we've
tape
run this
somewhere.
coverage. We've gone into this formation.
Statue
we've
of
done this.
Liberty
Like, there's not much more else that we can possibly do. So instead, I think when you get to this point in the season, it's trying to realize how are they going to attack you, and then have your counters off that, right? Whether it's defensively, offensively, what are they attacking? Where's your matchup? How can you get this matchup? That's what it's more about right now. It's not really like we're not. Like, I'll just tell you, like, hey, we're playing quarters and we're playing a little bit of Tampa. That's what we've done all year.
Yeah.
Like, we don't change on defense.
Right.
So like, you can be like, oh, God, just keep it hush hush. No, we play quarters. We play Tampa. I don't know.
It's not a
they know
secret
that.
either,
They know that.
exactly.
Like,
Take notes. I love it, man. Coach, That's all we've got for you. I won't
right,
take up
thank
any
you
more of your
guys.
time,
I
man.
appreciate
I
it.
can't
Have
thank
fun.
you
Yeah,
enough.
that's
It's been a
awesome.
blast.
Thank you,
Thank you
Coach.
very much for joining us today,
Some of
Coach.
you guys stick around
Good luck
afterwards.
today. I love it. We'll be around.
Got some
Absolutely.
shirts on the back of the seat here for you guys.
Hell
okay?
yeah. Thank
We
you,
got some
Coach.
Football, lacrosse football.
Thank you,
guys.
Coach.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Matt Janis, everybody. Thank you, Coach. Absolute blast having the man himself on, the man leading the Eagles today. And, fellas, we will take a quick intermission here, I do believe, on the other side. Have some fun stuff for you to finish out hour number 2. But once again, thank you to Coach Janis and everyone who's made this production today possible. Still a lot of great stuff to come, boys. So definitely stick around, and we will see you on the other side of the break.
Dude, I had to pee.
Mute those guys, Jim. Welcome back. Back at La Crosse, Division I Rejects, the D1R game day. Took a little bit of a short break there. The boys, I'll tell you what, we had a little too many energy drinks this morning. Had to make a quick trip to the little boys' room, but we're on the other side of it. Jake, the man here from the tailgate, we picked him up over there. How we doing today, fella?
Fantastic.
Doing pretty well here. Sorry, I picked that up for you. Yeah, you're good. Doing pretty well today?
Couldn't be better.
Got the mitts on. You're
Yes.
shivering a lot less than us over here at the desk, I will say.
I guess, yeah, a little more prepared. Been in this environment quite a bit, you know.
Hey, we're used to
I
it.
love
We
it.
come from a tundra ourselves.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't know by looking at us right now, but we do. We're going to do a little trivia today.
Perfect.
We got some D1R t-shirts, hoping to hook some people up with some merch. We're going to give you 3 questions. Some of them are layups, I'll give you that. You answer 2 of the 3 correctly, we'll hook you up with a t-shirt. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
First one, we'll start with a little bit more of a difficult one maybe. How many total touchdowns does Kaiser Helterbrand have this year for the Eagles?
Total touchdowns.
I'll say this is a little bit tougher one for you.
Okay, I remember looking at the end of the regular season, so that was week 10.
Okay.
I think it was around maybe, because you get the updates, the
Yeah,
school
yeah.
records, maybe 30. That was around 35, so
Okay.
we've played 2 more games since then. I'm going to say maybe 3 games, 6 more. 42.
So close, brother. So close.
44.
I love
Damn
the
it.
math, dude.
44.
I love that.
We might give him an honorary one for that. We'll see.
no,
That's up
we
in the
got
air.
two left.
Okay,
We got
okay,
two
okay.
left.
Football guy.
Football guy. That was way too close. I didn't even think no one was going to get that.
No,
all right.
not at all.
All right, okay. Question number 2.
Yes.
When did the Eagles hire Coach Janis?
Coach Janis was hired, I believe it was around COVID. That should have been my normal senior year with the team. So that was, I believe, winter of 2020.
Yes.
2020.
Baby, there's
Ding,
one.
ding, ding, ding,
We
ding.
got it. Okay,
Football
1 for 2,
guy.
1 for 2.
Football guy.
For the merch. Number 3
No
here,
pressure.
number 3.
No pressure.
This should be a layup for you, Jake. Come on now. Pull it home. Pull it home, right? We want to give these away.
Yeah.
What conference does North Central play in?
North Central. Actually, my brother played for North Central.
Okay,
Hey,
so
now.
this is it.
We played them in 2021 playoffs. The CCIW.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Let's go.
Hey,
Give the man a
give it up.
shirt.
Give it up for him. Give it up for him.
Hey,
Hey.
thank you, Jake.
Football guy.
You're
There
all
we go.
set, brother. You take the heads
Thank
off.
you.
We
Appreciate
appreciate
it,
you,
guys.
man.
Hey,
Absolutely.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, we'll hook. If
Enjoy the gear.
If that's not the right size, we'll hook you up. But don't worry
Thank
about
you
it.
guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, hey, we're 1 for 1. We're 1 for 1, boys. Okay. Who we got next? AJ, you up next here, fella? Come on, AJ. Come
Yes,
on
sir,
up.
AJ.
Number 2 here. Here we go. Get her hooked up. Get her done. It's a little tricky. They got an R and an L inside of there, and it'll flip around for you. Yeah, there you go. You're
Took too
good.
many hits to the head. I mean,
Couple football guys joining the pod live today. Kate, give them a hand. There we go.
all right, now
Okay.
we're golden.
Confidence level 1 to 10 here on these quick trivia questions.
Oh boy, I'm gonna give it like a 4, like a 4.
Not
I'm
great.
super confident. not
We're
gonna
1 for
lie.
1 right now. We're 1 for 1.
I like
Let's,
Jake's energy, dude. He came up here and just, big balled it.
Let's start off with, this might be a little bit of a tougher one. In what game did La Crosse have their highest season offensive yardage this year?
Oh boy. Well, I'm thinking they killed Stevens Point,
Okay.
but they probably pulled everyone early. Took the foot off the gas. I was at Aurora last week,
Okay.
and they put up a lot there. Yeah, I'm gonna go Aurora.
Aurora,
Ding,
final
ding,
answer,
ding.
lock it in?
Yeah, lock it in.
1 for 1 over here.
Here we go.
1 for 1.
Another football guy. Another football guy here.
Oh,
Oh, you're good. Okay. Yeah, just grab it. I got you.
you got me?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, dude, I'm fucking it all up.
Easy,
Oh,
easy.
sorry.
It's all right. Yeah, we're live here. It's all good,
You're
though.
good.
We knew we may have one.
Hey, if we made it this far, we only had
Yeah,
one.
that's
That's
good.
not so bad. That's
Not
not,
too
so
bad.
bad.
Not so
we're
bad.
We're good. We're
ESPN here.
good. At the end of the regular season, what was La Crosse's ranking in the AFCA poll, the coaches' national poll?
Oh boy.
They were in the top 25,
Yeah,
obviously.
North Central was 1, Wartburg was 2, North Central. I'm gonna go. So you're 3 or 4. I'm gonna go. Mount Union was probably 3, so I'm gonna go 4.
4?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4.
We'll give
Got it, baby.
we'll give them that one because the AFCA they were 6, but in the D3football.com they were 4.
They were.
So yes.
Okay.
So there
you
was
win
two-
on a
there was two
technicality. You
rankings.
win on a
There
technicality.
was two rankings.
Hey,
Time.
we don't
So
even-
he's already
do you
won
wanna
it.
go for? You've won it. You want to go for 3?
I mean, I might as well try.
Let's give him.
one more,
Let's give
right?
him a
Yeah.
tougher one. Let's give him a tougher one then.
Come on now.
Let's go over to the North Central side of things. How many touchdowns does D'Angelo Hardy, the wide receiver 1 for North Central, have this year? Give that an educated guess.
Oh, they blow people out.
They do.
I'm gonna go.
In large part to him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 22. 2.
Not a terrible guess. 18.
That's
Not a
He still
terrible
got the
guess.
shirt. He still got the shirt, though.
Hook the
Give
man
him the
up. 2
shirt.
for 3. We love to see it.
This
Boy,
is
AJ.
sweet. Appreciate
Attaboy.
you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely,
you.
man. We'll take the headset again. We'll make sure you get the right size here afterwards. But get you something. But thank you, AJ. We appreciate you, brother. All right,
Now-
2 for 2.
Now the wise.
All right.
We got the wise man here with all the knowledge.
Yeah.
Baby.
I don't have any current knowledge. I'm like 30
We might have to dig up some 1990 stats here for you to give you a little, make it a little harder on
Maybe
you.
what if I had one for you? How would that make you feel? Huh?
Why not?
A little bit of a okay. So let's start it off with a little bit more of a dated stat. When was the last time the Eagles made the national quarterfinal?
96.
Yes, sir.
You know why?
No hesitation.
You know why?
I was on the team.
Hell yeah! Let's
Yep.
go, dude.
Atta
How
boy.
about that?
I would love to say I planned that. We just grabbed you like 3 minutes ago.
Isn't that crazy?
No, we did. What are you talking about? We
Yeah,
totally
that was
planned it.
planted.
What?
He was planted. We planted a fan for the show. We planted a fan live. I love it. Well, you got one already. Now, we talked about it earlier. Coach Brad Spencer, for North Central. He's had quite a tenure in his first 2 years at the head of the Cardinals. Do you know what his record is currently for North Central when he is the head coach?
So a hint. Last year was his first year?
Last year was his first year. This year is year number 2. They're obviously undefeated national champions last year.
He's got to be 25 and 0.
Oh,
So close.
27.
27.
Okay, we got one more. One left. Get you a little shirt here. This one, I think you might be able to take this. Do you watch the live broadcasts of the games pretty often or no?
Yeah.
You do?
Yep.
You feel pretty confident about knowing the voice of those games?
I know one for sure. He's my coach.
Who is the play-by-play announcer for UWL?
I know the colors, Terry Erickson.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Do we know the play-by-play?
Don't.
We'll give him a minute.
We'll get.
give him a
I
minute.
like
We'll
that.
give him
That's,
a minute.
that's confidence. That's confidence.
give him
I
a minute.
appreciate.
We
Thank
were
you,
giving
Ryan.
him one anyway.
Hey, absolutely, man. Appreciate you. Hey, that 96. But by the way, the fact that that's like
awesome,
such a
yeah.
perfect. I had that written down, and that's awesome, man. And you talk
really?
about.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
had
yeah.
that.
We
We had that
questions written down
prepped.
from last night, yeah.
That was one of our last questions.
I was
So.
on 96 and 97 here.
That's awesome, man.
That's
And
awesome.
talk about, I guess, while we have you here, shoot, get a little closer to the mic for us.
Sure.
But I mean, talk about being an alum and being around this kind of program and the energy that it's brought to that base of alumni.
Yeah, I mean, they had 3 natties, I think, in 7 years, 93, 96. I want to say maybe 89 or 88 before that. And since then, to be honest, we kind of fall off, so it was nice. My son just transferred in here last year, or
I love
this year, so
Okay.
it's kind of nice that he has this experience. So, yeah, he's having a good time.
Good for you guys,
It's good
man.
Good for the program.
Family affair over there.
Yeah,
I
it
love
is.
it.
It is.
Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you,
We
guys.
appreciate
Have a
you
great
stopping
one.
by.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Absolutely. We'll make sure you get the right size afterwards and everything. But don't worry
worries.
about it. Yeah, absolutely. You got it already
Yes,
in the mouth.
sir.
Love it.
After he gets
Love
up, man. That is something else. All right. We've got a lot more good stuff here coming on the broadcast. And, fellas, I think, I don't know, did we get to all the keys of the game earlier, or should we start right away with the difference makers, do you think?
I'm ready to jump into it, dude. I am freaking antsy to get those things going.
You want to jump in? All right, it's going to take me a second here to pull it up. I think I know exactly who you'd like to start with, Cade, and hold on as I get it pulled up. But basically, folks, this is obviously our first time doing this, but each of the hosts here at Division I Rejects is going to pick a player from each side, from North Central, from the University of Wisconsin Lacrosse. One guy who's going to be a difference maker for their respective squad today is going to have a big reason why the game goes in the way that the game goes. Cade, cue the music. Start us off. Talk about this man on the outside for North Central.
Kobe, you know I love my Chris Collinsworth, and here's a guy that is an absolute unit. I mean, you see the stats there, almost 60 catches, 1,100 yards, 18 touchdowns. That is not the most sorry, I lost my train of thought. That's not the most impressive thing, though. Hardy is 1 touchdown away from tying the career receiving touchdown record at North Central. We got a little flyover here going. Hardy has surpassed 1,000 yards receiving in back-to-back-to-back seasons. I mean, this kid was dealing since a sophomore. I mean, he looks the part, he runs the part. You see on these, they get him the ball, I mean, obnoxiously. Like, the ball's in his hands all the time, as it should be. This kid runs all over the place. He has at least caught 50 passes in every year he's been here, since his freshman year. So freshman, sophomore, junior, and
Incredible.
senior year, he's caught over 50 passes. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks the school record for receptions. And the third thing, he's 8 yards away from 4,000 career receiving yards. So I'm sure if he gets the ball in his hands today, he's breaking that record.
And you said he needs one more to tie the record?
He needs to break it. One more to break it.
Oh, okay. I think that's my lock of the day is D'Angelo Hardy to break the record for touchdown.
I feel pretty confident.
You see him
about
here.
that
They
as
put him
well.
in Wildcat. They give him the ball everywhere. I mean, this kid is absolutely elusive. It's going to be tough for this lacrosse defense to stop. If they do, they have a good shot. You know, that's just one more guy they eliminated off the board, and I think they'd have a better shot at trying to eliminate D'Angelo Hardy.
And what they do a great job of, too, like you said, getting him the ball in space, and it's not always in the pass game. You see the jet, the outside sweep, the Wildcat.
Yep.
This man is involved so deep within that offense, and he's integrated so well, and I think that's a credit to Coach Brad Spencer and his staff as well of just finding ways for your playmakers to contribute, and sometimes it's in unconventional ways like D'Angelo Hardy. But talk about your pick for lacrosse today on the defensive side.
For lacrosse, I got a first-team all-conference guy last year, a first-team all-conference guy this year in the name of Jack Kelly, number 1 on that D-line. He has got to be vital today. To get pressure on Lanen in that north-central backfield, if they want a chance to win, they're going to have to get some sacks. They're going to have to get some pressure on Lanen in that north-central. They have like a two-headed, three-headed monster back there with Sacco, Lanen, and Hardy. So, I mean, you got to eliminate at least one of those guys. If you get the rushing game gone early, it allows them to go to a one-dimensional offense, and you probably have a better shot. But Kelly's been great. He was great last year. He's great this year. So, I mean, he's got, 9 TFLs, 5 sacks, 9 QB hits. I mean, he's playing great football this year again.
And talk about the defensive line as a unit, I think, for lacrosse. Obviously has a very tall task today. He's certainly kind of the focal point of that. I assume he's probably going to have to be a tone setter for this lacrosse defense early. And, you know, we talked about earlier, like, I don't think it's unrealistic for lacrosse if they get the toss or win the toss here. Would they take the ball? Is that unrealistic to say? Would you take the rock if you're the Eagles today?
I think I would. I think you got to go out there and set the tone. You know, we talked about that stat. You know, they win 71% of the time since 2003 when they score first. I think that's going to be essential today if they want to win the ball game.
Well, a big piece today of what could be success for lacrosse, a man on the outside for the Eagles. This man right here, Jack Studer, he has been a menace this year for the Eagles on the outside. Some of the stats from this kid, the 6'2", 205-pound senior wide receiver from Eyota, Minnesota. The catch radius, look at this man. He has to be a quarterback's best friend. He makes catches on balls that probably should be incomplete. He beats a defensive back in many ways. This guy's got a deep bag, fellas. You see that catch there against River Falls? He does it all over the field. We'll also see a clip of him shortly. He does it great on the outside, too, blocking for his teammates. Here's the outside run. You see him here on the right side of his screen, engaged with the defensive back all the way down the field. This is a very selfless player on the outside, someone who we've seen make highlights week in, week out. We've seen 300-plus yard performances. He's over 1,300 yards receiving on the year, 60 catches, averages over 22 yards per catch. He's got 13 touchdowns. This guy's a 100-burger every single game. I mean, the model of consistency from Studer has been remarkable this year. He's a guy that North Central defensively has to have their eye on literally every single snap of this one. And then as you talk about records, right, they're meant to be broken. He's currently 39 yards away from breaking the school's single-season receiving yard record. Could today be the day? The answer is probably, boys.
Probably.
He's only been limited below that twice this year. I do not see today being that day. You're going to be looking at a new single-season reception leader in Jack Studer today for the Eagles from the University of Wisconsin Lacrosse. I'm excited to witness history for a couple of the records today.
They got to give him the ball early. They got to get his feet warm. They got to get him involved in the game for them to be able to use their guys efficiently, right? And the thing with Studer is, too, us looking at those highlights and trying to find, videos of these guys, but, I mean, you see this kid in high school, he is making circus catches. Like, I wish we could put some up there, but, like, this kid, there's nothing new to the kid. He's just a playmaker. He's a baller.
Absolutely, and I think to kind of mix over a little bit, I know we said difference makers and highlighting the individual players. Man, I've got a unit on this North Central team, a whole front five, if you will. This offensive line has been phenomenal for the Cardinals. The man right there at the center of it all, the starting center, Gerard Thornton, one of our D1R athletes sponsored from the show. You see the stats right there. 338 rushing yards per game for this unit. 57 total touchdowns on the year for this front five. They've given up 20 sacks in 12 games. It's 1.6 a game. Obviously an opportunity for Wisconsin Lacrosse there today. But man, this unit, you see those attacks down the seam to guys like Hardy. Lanen able to stay back there, very comfortable. He trusts those guys up front with his life.
Dude, holy.
It's a fortress.
Absolutely commendable. They've got 4 guys, first-team All-CCIW. Gerard Thornton, Jesky Maples, Sam Pryor, even the tight end on the outside, Bobby Bemmer, if you include him kind of in that front unit. this is a unit that has been pivotal for them, and I think, obviously, if they get the ball again first, we're going to see that on display very shortly here today, fellas. This unit for them, I think, determines the game for me today. It allows Lehnen to sit, like I talked about, in the pocket, take those seam shots to guys like Hardy. And now what that also does, when you have this really predominantly strong pass protection, what you have is these defensive linemen that spread out as the play develops. What that does is open up these running lanes for Lehnen. We've seen him make so many plays with his legs this year, and I think this offensive line has enabled that more than anything. That's not to say Lehnen in the pocket is very cool, calm, and collected. His first thought is not run.
He's very multidimensional.
He makes great decisions with the football, takes care of it, has the best passer rating in the country.
All time. He has the number one passing efficiency in NCAA history.
It's like
incredible.
unreal. It's literally unreal.
Yeah, so
almost has more touchdowns than incompletions.
And again, a lot of the credit does go to Lehnen in that regard, obviously. But man, that front five for me for North Central is going to be the make or break piece for the Cardinals here today. Jimmy, why don't you start us off and talk about the guy that we've talked about quite a bit on this program already, but maybe a little bit more in depth, the man under center for the Crosse today, Jim.
WIAC Offensive Player of the Year, coming off an ACL surgery 358 days ago. And this kid is ready to go here for the biggest game of his life, and expect him to step up and play really well. As Coach Janis said, this is the kind of kid that strives under pressure. You want the ball in his hands in big moments, and they're going to be dependent on him big time. 44 total touchdowns this year, picking up 770 yards on the ground, 11 touchdowns. Also tossing 33 touchdowns as well.
Hell yeah.
Look for him to have a hell of a game. I think he's the best football player on the field in this one today. Man. So high praise for me. Maybe a little bit of WIAC bias, I would say, potentially. Maybe, just a little bit. But, I've seen him play live in person. This kid's a really good ball player.
He's a stud, and he's the Swiss Army knife, right? And I think, he might one-up a guy like Taysom Hill. He's damn good under center, and that's no shot at my man Taysom. I'm a huge fan of his. But this man, and we've talked with Coach Janis, if you look back at our conversation with him in October, I think one of the biggest sticking points for him is Kaiser, we've always had the athlete. The athlete has been there, the it factor in this guy. What he's done from year one to now has developed the quarterback side of things. And what he's done to further his game and really get it to the point where it is at now, where he can compete on the highest stage no matter what the audience or what the outside noise is, I think is a testament to his growth. And like you said, his relationship with the offensive coordinator and his coach and the way they're able to communicate, be on the same page, I think it's just a testament to all of that, right, in those relationships.
Certainly.
Talk about on the other side of things. For North Central defensively, I know you've got someone you wanted to mention.
Yeah, so North Central, I don't know if you guys knew this, they hit the lottery in the transfer portal this offseason, picking up Martin Egbo from Concordia St. Paul. 7 sacks on the year, 19.5 tackles for losses for the big fella. First team All-CCIW. Expect him to get after the quarterback all day today, being an absolute energizer bunny, if you will, being a total just plugging up the middle, get on the outside a little bit as well. He's going to make tons of plays all day today. I expect him to have maybe 1, maybe 2 sacks today, maybe get after Kaiser a little bit, maybe try to get a forced fumble, generate some turnovers. Anytime you have him laying down the hammer for you, you're going to expect to have a really good performance on defense.
Absolutely, man. And I know we're going to get to game picks here shortly. We will finish with our picks for today's contest. North Central, Lacrosse, who takes home the win today. But, fellas, we do have a little time before then. We didn't get the Gagliardi Trophy talk earlier on, so I wanted to circle back around to that conversation, right? There's a couple guys playing in the game today that are certainly going to be a big part of that conversation, that being Luke Lehnen, Kaiser Helterbrand, the quarterbacks for both these squads, respectively. But some of these other names on this list, Jimmy, I think certainly worth mentioning. To talk about some of the other WIAC guys, guy like Caleb Blaha from River Falls in the year that those guys had, coming just short in WIAC play, but really an encouraging year if you're a River Falls Falcons fan.
Yeah, talk about a dual threat guy, just kind of like Kaiser. Caleb Blaha, absolute freak athlete. He's had multiple touchdowns of 50-plus yards on the ground. So this kid can run. You can run it in from anywhere. And then obviously shifting to the defensive side of the ball, you got a guy like Justin Blazik, who's a quarterback's nightmare. Defensive end, he's going to have a chance to potentially play in the NFL. I'm looking at some mock drafts here and there, see what the scouts all think, and they think this guy can play at the next level. And then moving on to the defensive backfield down in Whitewater, you got Egan Hine making tons of plays all year, playing really good defense for them. Making some interceptions, pass breakups, you name it. And then obviously our other WIAC Gagliardi finalist, as we talked about a little bit earlier, Kaiser Helterbrand. I think he's a lock to be a finalist, and we're talking about the semifinalists
right now. Yeah,
I think he's. I would say he's quite nearly a lock to be a finalist, as well as Luke Lehnen as well.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And a couple other guys that are playing today on Saturday. Zach Boyes, the quarterback from Cortland, who we have had the pleasure of having on this show. absolute menace. That offense from Cortland, I think you're going to look at them to have a bounce-back week this week. We'll see what goes on with that offense. Obviously, maybe a little underperforming against Grove City last week on the offensive side of the ball. Guys like Colby Blunt, the senior running back from Bellhaven, Jake Breitbach, who you had the chance to play against from Gustavus. You got Brandon Cade, the running back, the junior from Barry. Drew Campanale from Randolph-Macon. Destin Chance, the quarterback from Illinois College. We talked a lot about on this show. Talk about video game numbers. This dude has filled up every stat sheet. It doesn't matter where it's from. This guy's put up a lot of really good numbers this year. Going through the rest of the list, Robert Corey, the linebacker from Carnegie Mellon. Owen Grover from Wartburg. You've got Tucker Horn, who got knocked out last week by this North Central team. He's from Trinity. Tomas Canary from Middlebury. Braxton Plunk, the senior from Mount Union, that will not be playing today, but he is a stud. Luke Schimmerman from Johns Hopkins. Aaron Syverson from St. John's. You got Josh Taylor from Mount St. Joseph. And finally, Giovanni Weeks from Wheaton, who I know you've been pretty big on this year.
We've talked about him a lot
well
on the show. That kid can pound the rock. He runs down the hill, he runs angry, and he runs really well. So
absolutely. So, with that being said, boys, I think there's only one segment left to get to today, and I think, amongst other things, it's time for the game picks. Are we ready to do some? Hold on. Are we ready to do some game picks today?
I think we are ready, sir.
I believe so.
Let's start on the Division II scene. We'll go back through the Super Regions and make our way down, starting in Super Region number 1. Kutztown traveling to Slippery Rock. Obviously, we talked about the drama and things that were going on in this matchup. Slippery Rock, one of the best offenses, definitely the best in Super Region 1. To me, very much the team to beat. They go on the road. They beat number 1 seed Tiffin in Ohio. Now they have the Bears coming into town. Can the defense and the dominant ground game from the Golden Bears travel and take home the win? It's hard to beat a team twice. We've got a PSAC championship game rematch. Start with you, Cade. What are we thinking?
I'll start it off, Cole. I'm going to piggyback off what you just said. I'm going Slippery Rock. I'm riding with Braden Long. He's had a great year. And like you said, it's very, very hard to beat a team twice. And I'll tell you right now, Slippery Rock, they're coming. They got a little embarrassed in that PSAC championship game. They're coming. And I think Braden Long's going to have a day for that Slippery Rock offense, and I think they get the job done. Going on, you want to go to the Valdosta and all that?
Oh, no, we got to go through the board first.
Oh,
Jimmy,
okay.
we'll come to you next, my friend.
So, I know it is very hard to beat a team twice, and I think Kutztown is up to the challenge. I think that defense and that run game is just going to be a little too much for Slippery Rock. I think Kutztown's going to have a little bit of fire in their belly because they know they should be playing this game at home. And I think they're telling themselves, this is our home game. This is where we're supposed to play at home. Screw it. This is still a home game. Like, go in there and play Kutztown football and then just, have that stout defense right in the front there, making plays, stopping them. And now obviously pounding the rock, good time of possession, keeping Slippery Rock's offense off of the field.
I'm going to second you on that one, Jim. I think this week is for the Golden Bears. The dominant ground game, that's behind Darrell Davis McNeil. This dude is a monster. I don't think there's a man in that super region, maybe in the country, that can tackle him one-on-one. He's a physical runner. He does it between the tackles. He does it outside of the box. Obviously, losing one of our guys, our D1R athlete over there, Jordan Davis, not being healthy for this matchup.
Shout out Jordan, man.
I think it's a big loss for this one. He adds a great dynamic to that Kutztown backfield. He's a much smaller, shiftier back they get on the outside.
He had a great year, too, going.
But I do think Darrell Davis McNeil is the X factor for Kutztown today. That defensive front, the front seven, if you will. Yeah, there's adjustments you can make. There's a lot that's changed since that PSAC championship game. But I'm with you. This is a game that Kutztown knows, and their heart of hearts should be at their home field. They're coming into this one with a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. To me, the pregame speech for this Bears team, that's a layup. That is a layup. Yeah. You don't have to say anything. Yep. This team is riled up over there. They're ready to go. I'm taking Kutztown in this one to advance. And I think when it comes down to it, defense, dominant ground game travels, and I think that's what we've seen time and time again. But we'll stay in Division II, heading over to Super Region number 2. Lenore Rhine at Valdosta State. Two of the better offenses still in the tournament, Cade. Who comes out on top of this one?
I'm sticking with my quarterbacks here. They got a high-power offense in Sammy Edwards. You heard the stats on him earlier in the show. This kid is unreal. You get the ball in his hands. You get some turnovers on defense. I think Valdosta State does the job, and they move on to next weekend. They got to take control of the ball. Sammy Edwards has done a great job of that all year, but like we said, last week doesn't matter. Week 1, 2, 3, 4, all that doesn't matter. It's all that matters what happens today, who shows up and plays great football today. I like Valdosta State in this one.
Absolutely. And I wanted to pull up, before we continue, pull up the highlights and take a look back at the the matchup between them and Delta State in the regular season. And I think what you guys will see here, and something that I think should be definitely a target for Valdosta, they were much more balanced in this attack. You see the rushing touchdown to start things off for the Blazers. Obviously, Sammy Edwards doing his thing underneath the center. But again, the offensive line play for the Blazers was huge in this one. Delta State would answer with their own. We talked about Shegog earlier, but the running attack from Delta State was just as potent. I think today, for this Valdosta State team, their goal should be to be as balanced as possible.
For sure.
You can certainly rely on the pass game, but they're going to need a little bit of this rushing attack. And as you can see, when they're playing their best brand of football, I think their rushing attack is one of the better ones in the Gulf South. And now the thing for them is consistency. It has not been consistent all year. Now we're going to see a little bit of himself doing it with his own legs there.
Hey, a
little bit of swagger into the end zone.
I love it.
Now, they would actually end up losing this game, but obviously they get the rematch back. But, Jimmy, talk to us, man. What are you thinking about this matchup, Lenore-Rhyne, the Bears versus the Blazers?
I'm going to second Cade in this one. I think Sammy Edwards is going to be a little too much for Lenore-Rhyne today. I think Valdosta State will come out on top. And I think, obviously, both of these teams have been here before, but I'm going to roll with Valdosta in this one.
Okay, that's fair enough. And once again, I'm going to save the bracket. I'm going to save the graphic here. I'm going to go Lenore-Rhyne. I think the Bears have what it takes. And to me, the sticking point for Lenore-Rhyne, yes, I know they're on the road here. I think it's the multidimensional, it's kind of space of their offense right now. Dwayne McGee out of the backfield has been phenomenal for this Lenore-Rhyne offense. You've got two quarterbacks that have been great under center. You've got a wide receiver core full of guys like Diari Rogers that are the epitome of a deep threat down the field. But also, you get the ball to these guys in space, everything is off the table. You do not know what's going to happen with this Lenore-Rhyne offense on the outside. The variety at which they can run a lot of different looks. They do a lot of window dressing offensively. I like what they're going to be able to do today on the road. I think for them, the key to the game is to get out early ahead of this Valdosta State team. Make them one-dimensional. Make them only throw the ball. You take away that rushing attack. I'm taking the Bears today. I'm taking Lenore-Rhyne to go in there to Valdosta and keep their hopes alive coming out of Super Region number 2. But probably one of the more anticipated game picks of the day. The best Super Region in Division II football. Is there bias? Maybe a little bit. But Super Region number 3, Grand Valley State, heading over to Arkansas. They flew out. They chartered out over there, boys, by the way. That was kind of sweet. They flew out there. They're obviously getting ready for a 2 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Grand Valley, the Lakers, taking on the Bison from Harding. Cade, who do we have in this one?
This is, I went back and forth with both of you guys about this, right? I went back and forth. Ultimately, I'm gonna go with Harding.
Okay.
Due to the fact that, one, I feel like they feel a little disrespected on how much hype that Grand Valley gets and how much, it's all Grand Valley, this, Grand Valley, that. This is a very good football team. Don't get me wrong, Grand Valley is very dimensional and they can play any game they want to, but I think Harding at home, they got the three-headed monster of the rushing attack. De La Cruz, Jay, and Kalon. I believe they're all over 600 rushing yards, if I'm not right, or if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
I believe they have over 600 rushing yards altogether, which is very impressive. I like Harding at home. I think they get the job done in a very late field goal, either to win it or Grand Valley's got one to tie it or win it. I think it's going to be a tough, gritty W for that Harding squad.
I hear you, man. And we talk about, here you take a look at this Harding offense. This was back a few weeks prior against the number 5 nationally ranked Ouachita Baptist squad. And I think you look at this, the creativity offensively you can have, even when your scheme potentially is limited to the ground game, this team does a great job of it. They get the balls in a lot of different people's hands, and I think defensively too. Look at the way these guys swarm to the ball. Everyone you look at, I think a great piece for a defensive coach when you have kind of that end zone shot, everyone should be in the frame at the end of the play,
Swarm.
right? You're swarming to the ball. This Harding defense does just that. I think their defensive line is going to be a difference maker today, getting pressure on guys like Cade Peterson, Avery Moore. I don't think a lot of people have been able to do it against Grand Valley. They've got multiple all-conference, all-region type guys, especially on the left side of that offensive line. I think Harding could be the team to do it, but like right there, a forced fumble in that part of the field.
Ball.
That's how you win these kind of high top 10 type matchups. Harding has done it once, and they'll do it potentially again today. We'll see what happens, but definitely wanted to highlight this Harding offense. Look at this, man. A little pitch outside. They obviously have the fullback dive up the middle. A little hurdle on the outside. Never hurt nobody. But, Jimmy, before I do make my actual pick on today, let's hear what you have to say about this matchup, my friend.
2 words. Anchors up. I'm going with Cade Peterson and the Lakers. Obviously, We've had the pleasure of seeing Grand Valley a few times up in the Dome, and they are a hell of a football team. And I think that, being that they have already had a tough loss this year, and I think they are not going to lose another game the rest of the season.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Grand Valley is my, spoiler alert, I think they're my Division II national champion pick.
Great pick, Jimmy. Great pick. We're going with the Lakers, baby.
Yes, sir.
That front seven from Grand Valley State.
I'll ride alone.
That front seven from Grand Valley State, like I've talked about earlier, is one of the toughest in the country. I don't think anyone has been able to slow down this Harding offense when it comes to that box in the front seven. If there's a team to do it, fellas, it's this Grand Valley State front seven. You talk about how many guys were first team all GLIAC selections. You can go right to the linebacker core. Talk about our D1R athlete, Abe Swanson. There he is right now, number 41, but also making the play. Anthony Cardamone has been having a stellar year. Talk about guys coming off the edge. Guys like Christian McCarroll right there, number 9. How about making plays in the defensive back end? Guys like Therese Reed, Cole Petrito. This defense has more depth than I think a lot of people in the country give them credit for. Niles King right there, the West Bloomfield alum coming down, laying the hammer in that first round matchup, or excuse me, that's a regular season matchup against Ferris State. Obviously the offense for GV going to be big time in this one. Probably the craziest play of all year.
Catch of the year?
That was insane. That was insane. But as I say, man, this GVSU front seven, I think this is the difference maker for me today. Nobody has been able to slow down this Harding offense and what they're able to do between the tackles. I think this Grand Valley team has a scheme dialed up to do it. I see them really holding Harding. If they hold them underneath 20 points today, 25 points, I see that as a huge win for Grand Valley. I think they'll be able to get it done offensively on the road, and then maybe, you never know how it shakes out, you might get another home seed. I'm going with the Lakers today. So that's going to be a fun matchup, though. I'm with Kate. I think that one comes down to kind of the final couple minutes, if you will. We've seen how Grand Valley has won these last couple games against Ferris State, against Pittsburgh State.
Great football game.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Now, finally, the last super region of the day when it comes to Division II. Super region number 4. We've got Central Washington heading on over to Colorado Mines. Cade, start us off once again with this one, my friend.
I told you guys what I was going to say last night. I'm sticking to my word. I got 2 words for Colorado Mines fans out there. You can put the camera on me. Get the money signs coming because here comes Johnny Football, baby. He's going to be right in your living room tonight. He's going to have a day. Mines moves on.
I like it. I like it. Fair enough. Fair enough. Jimmy, how do you feel about that one?
With Matoka and Mines. You know, you got the reigning Harlan Hill winner on your team, and I think that's what's going to be the reason why they win this game. Another thing, I think if they can halt the Harding run game, I think Harding's going to have a really, really time scoring points today. This game's going under. I'm going to say pardon me, Central Washington, pardon me. But
yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mines in this one.
Absolutely. I think this is a great test of great passing attack versus great defensive secondary. We talked about Tanner Vool. We talked about John Matoka. I'm not saving the graphic today, fellas. I'm not saving the graphic in this matchup. Mines rolls. And again, I issued the challenge to Central Washington earlier. I've doubted you the first 2 rounds. You've proved me wrong. My challenge to you is to do it again. This Mines team is much improved from last year. The front 7 defensively, the defensive line unit has stepped their game up. Their physicality has improved from a year ago today. The offensive backfield with Roper, with Walker, those kind of guys, the talent you have there, the stage is set for Mines to make it back to the national championship. It all starts right now at home in Golden, Colorado. It's a tough place to play. I'm taking Mines in this matchup.
And they got great haircuts.
They also do have fantastic haircuts. You certainly can't let that one go. All right, wrapping up. We got the final 5 minutes of the broadcast here. The first matchup of our Division III game picks today. Let's start with Cortland visiting Alma, the Elite 8 in Division III. Let's start it off.
I'm going to read it word by word. The story continues. Coach Couch and the boys keep the train going. Give me the Scots.
Fair enough. Jimmy?
So, being that this one, over-under point total of 68, Alma is a 4-point favorite, and I think Alma is going to win this game and cover the spread. Carter St. John's going to have a heck of a game for the Scots today, and I think Alma wins this one by 2 scores.
Not so fast! Cortland!
Not so fast,
Nick. Not so fast! Cortland has been on the wrong side of the Cinderella story all year long. They come into this thing, Endicott, a very feel-good team for all Division III football. They had their biggest statement win of program history over Hardin-Simmons earlier in the year. People were feeling great about the squad over in the Northeast. They go to Cortland, they get their butts kicked. Cortland comes out of that one a tight game. Now you have Grove City, their first win in playoff history in their program's history. They go to Cortland, and you know what? They had a great chance to win the game at the end of the game. Great teams find a way. Cortland did it. I don't know what they put into that kicker's leg. He misses that one wide. Cortland has ended 2 Cinderella stories thus far. I think today they end a third. I'm a great fan of both these teams, have great respect for both these coaching staffs. I think Zach Boys and company offensively are the difference makers today. I think after last week against Grove City, they have a huge bounce back week. Expect them to get a lot done on the ground early. I think Cortland's going to set the tone of play in this one. I see them rolling. I really do. I see them rolling. I know this is at Elma, but I think Cortland's going to travel very, very well, fellas. But we got some more. We got some more great picks. We will move on now, Division III. Let's go over to a potential fan favorite over here, or maybe the opposite. How about UW Whitewater traveling over to Wartburg? The Warhawks looking to get things done on the road. Cade, start us off. What do you know about this UWW team?
Well, this might be a little sore subject here in this territory. We got the Eagles walking behind us
here. Oh, yeah. Some of the specialists getting the run. How we going, boys?
In early. Here we go.
There it is. There it is.
But ultimately, at the end of the day.
Oh, that's so sick. Hey, just give him a second here. How about that? Hey, go get him, boys.
Go get him, boys.
Continue, though. Continue.
Well, I'll keep it going here, though. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this UW Whitewater team, they're, like I said, I'm a big defense guy. Defense wins championships. I think their defense comes up big. It's going to be a hard it's going to be a gut punch. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a hard-nosed win. But I think Whitewater's defense gets it done at the end. I can see this game being like 13-10 or something
that
low.
Would be ridiculous. That would be ridiculous.
Something low where Whitewater's defense keeps them in the game and they pull one out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jimmy, what do you have to say about this matchup, Bob?
Kate, I'm with you there in terms of the low-scoring points. I think this is going to be an absolute slugfest defensively. You got guys like Tamir Thomas and Elijah Marpar that can pound the rock for Whitewater. I think Whitewater pulls this one out. It's going to go under the point total of 54 points. Whitewater is being a 2.5-point favorite coming in here on the Hanson ratings. They're a 5-point favorite on Division III football data.
Okay.
I think Wartburg will cover the spread, but Whitewater comes out on top. Really, really close one. I think it's going to be like a 17-16 kind of game.
Now we're on the same page. This Wartburg defense certainly has a tall task cut out for them. I think Tamir Thomas and that running game from Whitewater is going to be too much for the Knights over there. I think I'm going to take Whitewater in this one as well. We're going to do a clear sweep. Maybe a little bit of a rematch in the second round if these guys behind us can take care of business. But alas, I do think Wartburg will cover. I think Owen Grover and that defensive front for them have a tall task cut out for them. Alec Ogden, although he's maybe not, has the volume and maybe the crazy stats to put up for it, his efficiency under center for the Warhawks, I think has been commendable up to this point so far on the season. But we've got, I do believe, one more game pick, fellas, before we do get to the matchup here today. That one being Randolph-Macon traveling over to Johns Hopkins. Cade, start us out on this one. You going with the Yellow Jackets or the Blue Jays in this contest?
I'm going to have to go with the Blue Jays here. I think Johns Hopkins has a day in the ground. I think Ugla's looking to have an absolute field day with that behind that offensive line. He's been great all year. I just think that they're going to have the hard time stopping him. He's been great. I mean, we've seen his numbers earlier. He's been a great all year. He's going to be great on the ground. And I also think that, the Blue Jays are playing great football at the right time. I think they sail. I think they take this W.
That they are. Jimmy, what do you think?
Yep, another one of these high total point matchups. 68 for the over-under in this one. Randolph-Macon coming in as a 3.5-point favorite. I think Randolph-Macon goes into Johns Hopkins, wins, and covers the spread.
Hell yeah.
I think they're gonna run the ball really well. Both sides have very potent run games with Spencer Ugla at the helm for the Blue Jays, but I'm gonna go with Randolph-Macon 38-31 in this one.
I'm all in on this Yellow Jacket offense. You don't go out and put a performance like you do against Ithaca without a hell of a squad on that side of the ball. I'm taking the Yellow Jackets to go in and make some noise and disrupt over there in Johns Hopkins. I think this team has so much culture, rich history, tradition over there at RMC. I'm going to go with the Yellow Jackets in this one. I don't think it's too much of an upset pick, though. Would you agree with me there, Jim?
I would not consider that
I say it's pretty even. I say it's pretty...
Yeah. It's pretty low spread.
Punch for punch, stride for stride. I think they're two very good football teams about to play a very good football game.
Finally, the moment we've been waiting for, the game we are at, the University of Wisconsin Lacrosse taking on North Central. These guys are the dogs today. They're the underdogs, a position they've certainly found themselves in a few times this year. They found themselves in the better half of that, though, quite a few times. Cade, start us off here. Can the Eagles get it done today against the number one team, the undefeated reigning national champions at home?
Well, it's funny because it's starting to get more packed, and we saved the right game for the right time.
We absolutely did.
I might be in a little bit of trouble here in La Crosse, Wisconsin, because ultimately I think it comes down to North Central's offense as being too explosive. If they can stop D'Angelo Hardy and Luke Lane, I think they have a very, very, very good shot to win this game. They got to create some turnovers in the air and on the ground. They got to stop the run game. I like the Cardinals in a close one.
All right,
Jimmy,
so
what do you have to say to that? What do you have to say to that, Jimmy?
I have some stats for the crowd here. So I don't know if you guys ever do any sports betting, but North Central is 12-0.
We don't, by the way. We don't, by the way.
We do not
Disclaimer,
do any sports betting. I was
Yep,
asking
just
the
wanted to
crowd.
put that out there. Yep.
So North Central is 12-0 against the spread today. I think that against the spread record takes a little bit of a hit. They're not going to cover the 20-point spread today, but I do think the Cardinals will come out victoriously. I think it's going to be an absolute shootout. I think this one's going to be 63-49. North Central will come out on top.
You guys make a lot of great points. I mean, this North Central offense, you talk about guys like Sacco, you talk about guys like Lane and Hardy on the outside, the front five offensively for them. How could you stop them? Really, how could you? And, you know, there's so much great talent on this squad, and you saw Mount Union on the other side of the bracket is already knocked off. I think everyone is so quick to already award the trophy to North Central. Not me! I'm not ready to give them the trophy. Mount Union's out of it. That does not mean this lacrosse team is out of it. I think this lacrosse team stands a great chance today. It's all going to come down to the first possession. This lacrosse team, if you win the toss today, you take the ball, you run it down their throat, you score on the first possession. I think this lacrosse team stands a great chance. Give me the Eagles in the upset of the year. I think this trumps Elma over Mount Union. Kaiser Helterbrand. Kaiser Helterbrand is the man to do it. The Swiss Army knife. I don't know what you would call a Swiss Army knife on steroids, but damn it, that is him. He gets it done on his legs. He gets it done through the air. If you're North Central, we talk about their offense. You got to respect this University of Wisconsin lacrosse offense. They've got guys on the outside in Studer, in Bartle. He exploded for 3 touchdowns last week. You give one of them all the attention in the world, guess what? The other one's going to pop off behind you. He's running into the end zone. See you later. I think defensively, obviously a huge challenge for this lacrosse team, but like I said, I think everyone right now is so quick to already hand the trophy in the Stag Bowl to this North Central team. They got to come to this place. This place is going to be an awesome atmosphere very soon here.
Oh, yeah.
Already starting to fill up. Give me the Eagles. It might come back to haunt me. I feel great about this environment, great about Coach Janis. I want to end on that point. How about that? Give me a little something here.
Hey, to clarify to the crowd, my grandfather is a graduate of North Central, so a little bit of bias here with my
Get
pick.
out of here. You know, pity. He wants pity points. He wants pity points. But no, I am with you though in the fact I think this is going to be a shootout. This could come down to a classic case of, am I exaggerating? Yes. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, who has the ball last. They're not playing out here today, but damn it, there's some great players out here today. Whatever offense has the ball last, whoever takes better care of the football, Jimmy, to your point, if lacrosse is going to generate at least 2 turnovers today, it would be great. I think it's going to happen. Defensively, they need to get it done. They're taking it today.
I want to see a great football game, Kobe. And before you wrap it up, I just want to, because I'm assuming you're wrapping it up after
Close
this.
here, yeah.
I want to say, for everyone watching back here in the crowd, big round of applause for this man in the middle right here. This guy's put a lot of freaking time, a lot of effort into this.
The face of Division I Rejects.
This is probably the first time this has ever been done in small college football, so we appreciate you guys.
Everybody gets to be a part of history today.
Yes,
How about
yes,
that?
sir.
There we go,
We
man.
like it.
So thanks, Kobe. We had a great time here, man, today, and I can't wait to do this shit again, dude.
Absolutely.
This is
Yes, sir.
electric.
Yes,
This is a
sir.
blast. We'll be sticking around. We'll be on the field. We'll catch up with all these great people of here of UW lacrosse. A great matchup slated here for just over an hour. Kickoff shortly approaching. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the first ever Division I Rejects Game Day. I've been your host, Kobe Manzo, joined by Cade Manzo, Jimmy Martin. We have had an absolute blast today. Thank you to you all for your hospitality.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's been a great environment. It's only going to get better. That is all from the D1R Game Day desk. Signing out.